So I will start the lecture. First, I will give you an introduction about the, the, the course that we are going to have. And with that, I will start today's lecture as well. So I hope you can see the slides. So in this introduction, what I'm trying to show you is or discuss like how we are going to conduct this MIS course. First of all, I'm starting the course. Actually, there are two lecturers. I will give an introduction to the other lecturer as well. So I am Ajanta Tukorla. I am from University of Colombo, actually School of Computing. So I am doing the technical part with you all with respect to the MIS. So regarding myself, I did my undergraduate in computer science and then my PhD also in the same field in computer science. And I'm currently working as a senior lecturer at UCSC as the deputy director of that. So if you all are going to contact me for any things that you can use my email address aj@ucsc.cep.ac.lk. So these are the two people like Dr. Nuradi Jayasiri will be taking over after 5 lectures where she will be mostly covering the management information systems as the title also of the course. So I'll be doing with you all more into the technical side, introduction to computing. So this is where like I'm going to discuss with you some topics which are related to business and the MBA. So of course, yeah, this is, I would say, rather than a full course, it's like a awareness update, right, about IT and actually now MIS and also the other fields as well. You need IT in a heavy way, right, so that the technical part and how we can use it for business is what I'm going to do discuss with you all. So I will be not seeing you as a master of computer science students or master of IT students. I know you all are MBA. So here my discussion with you all basically is decision making process, how IT can be used and what level of knowledge you should have in order to make proper decisions. That is what we are looking at. So of course, I might have to discuss a little bit of the technical side to give you the underlying theory behind that, and then you will get the idea. But however, you will be a user as such for in the context of IT or computing, and then how you can use that for your day-to-day work. So I am looking at in the process of YOLA executives or higher management, where to decision-making process, how IT can be used and what level of IT knowledge you should have in order to go forward. So then Nuradi will come back and discuss about proper MIS systems, and then with that features of MIS, right? So that part she will be discussing. So that's how like two of us going to do the course, right? And then I will just give you what I'm going to cover. So here, basically, I'm starting the today's lesson. Probably we might discuss next week as well because it is a bit of a long discussion. But I have named it as computer network. So then again, you might say, okay, here goes like a technical subject we are going to have. It's really not. So I'm not going to teach you any computer networks as right where the IT guys should know and then how to troubleshoot and all these things. But based on computer networks, right? So we are looking at internet, right? From the business side, again, then how you can use, what you should know, right? And then some nitty-gritties of certain things of the internet. And then I'll take you all to virtualization and cloud computing, because that's where, like, again, for business, you need today cloud computing, but cloud computing is an extension of computer networks, right? And then based like how internet and the networks, and then how we can do business. And there are different models like this. Like, so in my lectures, I prefer y'all to ask any questions while I'm teaching, because that's where like I'll be more trying to update you all. So please do not hesitate to ask any questions, right, and try to clarify things that you have, right. So with respect to IT, so you can ask questions as well as we go on. The second topic I'm going to talk with you all is computer software. That is where like the importance of software. Today, people don't really consider much with respect to software because people buy hardware, but they don't know like because software is very expensive, sometimes more expensive than hardware. So then when you are making decisions or when you are investing, right, when you are trying to uh, may convert, right, your organization into IT or whatever. So then you have to keep in mind that software is also plays a major role, because computing or computer is just not hardware, because this hardware box is actually a dumb device, right? So actually computer can't do anything. So that's the reality. A computer is a device. If we give instructions, it can behave the way we want, right? So it's not an intelligent device. As we talk about AI, I will come in my fourth topic into AI. But however, the computer is really not AI as such, right? We can run AI systems and get a lot of things in business today, but computer is a very dumb device, so that we need a human intervention to make something done. So then in order to do that, human can't be all the time inside a computer and do that. So we do that through software. That's where like the programmers come. That's where like IT guys will be doing that. But of course, you should know about what sort of software, why software is required, what type of software is there, right? So do you have to buy that? So that's what you can ask with me, like licensing and all these things, right? Because that's where like the money matters, right? Because decision making, right? And also like in that topic, I'm trying to introduce open source and free software, right? By the way, free stand for something else as well. So let's go there and discuss. But like we normally call FOSS as well, free and open source software. So I will try to give you an idea. So that's where like how you can reuse your expenditure or investment towards the software, like how you can take advantage from that. We will discuss that. I will show you some practical examples of the tools or the real software that is available, right? Not all, because I also might not know everything, but however, I will give you some idea like, okay, this is what you can get and this is how you can do that. And the third topic I'm going to discuss with you all is mostly like I just termed it as information security, because today business on the net, right? Uh, yeah, security is very, very important. So we will try to understand, right, the security, how security can be implemented in a computer system, right? So I'm not going to teach you like information theory or like how a computer can be made it to more secure, how to write software secure. It's not what we're going to look at it, but we are looking at like how, like when you do business, how secure is that? So all of you all, I think, have done an internet transaction or credit card transaction. How safe is that? Is really like, maybe if some people have still concern about should I do that or not, right? So we will discuss that as well. So I might have some banking guys here as well in this group, so you can also discuss with your knowledge. So I'm always open for discussions as well as maybe some of the people who are in the industry can share as well. So that's like you will get knowledge, and of course I also will update myself. But we will talk about security. But again, that's what, like I said, it's not okay here. When we talk about security, of course, little bit of theory has to be discussed, right? So bit of technical, but however, it's not totally technical. What we are going to discuss here is how safe to do an internet transaction. Can you really do internet transactions over the internet? Like, and then is it safe? And what are these digital signatures? What are these digital certificates, right? And then some other nitty-gritties of like with respect to security, like what a password, like how good the password should be, and those kind of things. Also more practical side. And also I will be showing some tools that can be used for this security as well, for your own personal security as well, and then in your organization how to do that, right? And the fourth topic, okay, the fourth and fifth we'll see depending on the time, right? Basically I'm going to do 5 lectures with you all. So it all depends on like the batch and then how many questions you ask, right? I'm not targeting to finish what all these things, but I would like to discuss with you all and try to make sure that you understand. So the fourth topic I have put here is as neural networks, but today AI is a buzzword, right? How AI can be used, what is AI, right? What is the difference between this AI and fuzzy systems and those kind of like machine learning, right? And then how we can use, again, I'm not going to teach you like different machine learning models and try to train you or teach you how to do that, but actually what is machine learning, and then what is AI, and then where we can use them, right? So that sort of discussion we are going to have, right? And finally, if time permits, I will talk about new trends in computing, whereas Internet of Things, wearable technology, surface computing, there are quite a few things like today 3D printing. So how we can use them, again, these technologies I'm going to talk about, again, with respect to business, how you can use them in the business and make more profitable, or how you can reduce your gap of like expenditure plus the revenue, right? And then uh, try to reduce actually the not the expenditure, and then try to get more profits, right, by use of these. So it's like my plan to discuss with you all. So I have just put 5 topics, but as I said, the first topic I might not be able to finish that because I have put a lot of content there, and that's all right. So that I will do in the second day as well. So that's, it's not like first day I finish it and I will say that I will go into the next topic. So I will go to the 5th topic given that I have time within the 5 days. But yeah, in some of the batches I have not been able because you have asked so many questions and try to clarify those things. So that's what ultimately you should try to learn those things. So this is what my plan and what I'm trying to execute with you all. And basically, as I told you earlier, you can ask any questions as we go on. This part, I will just leave it because Nuradi will explain to you all, right, how she is going to do with respect to the second part of MIS. And the course is like this. Now, so my part is called part 1, which I'm starting with that. So then Dr. Nuradi's part will be part 2. So basically, we are doing 50-50, right? So I'm doing 5 lectures, she's doing 5 lectures. In my part, I'll be making some good presentations, right? So I'll be giving some IT related topics for you all to get together and make a presentation, mostly like that we are highlighting the technology part, right? And then especially towards some sector, right? So I will explain further. Probably next week, I will try to give those the topics as well. So y'all can update me like even in the chat box, that will be all right. How many groups like AIM, how many groups are there, right? And then HRM, marketing, like whoever the groups that you are here now, right? How total number of groups that you have within that subgroup, so that because each one will get a topic, and then I will try to distribute that next week. And then probably I will explain a little bit further on that. So you will be making a group presentation and report, which basically you get about 25% from the total 100 marks. And then Dr. Nuradi will discuss with you all how she is going to work with the group project, right? And with respect to MIS, right? So that also you can earn 25 marks. 25% in a way 25 marks as well. So total 50 marks and then the exam paper, another 50 marks, that is 25 each. So exam paper, I'll be giving 3 questions out of those topics, not all 5, because it depends on like how much I have discussed. Out of the topics that I have discussed, I will be giving you 3 questions. You have to answer any 2, right? And then similarly, Nuradi also will be discussing the MIS, and then you have to answer 2 questions out of the 3. Right? So yeah, don't try to answer all of 3 mine and another one from part 2 or the other way around, because maximum you will earn only for 2 questions, right? So that's it's an optional part, but you can choose which out of the 3 to answer, and then answer only 2. By the way, I don't have a textbook, right? So that you might see like what we are talking here, you are presenting a book here, but that is because the faculty asked me, no, you have to recommend a book, right? I said, okay, then I tried, because these topics, how it's been evolved. So I'm doing last probably, I think 15 years, like the MBA program, this part, and these have come based on like even from the MBA student itself, the course, because people come and ask, okay, so how about this, how about that, like, so what is the difference between this and that, right? What is open source, how can you make money, or is it really a fun thing, so like that. So then I have developed a course content based on that, right? So that's actually, I can't say that I am really referring any textbook, but then basically this is a basic component. So I'm not saying I'm sticking to this, but for the sake of recommending a book, I have recommended. But on the other hand, Dr. Nuradi will be using a textbook, and based on that textbook, she will be discussing. So my ones are more open, right? And then, of course, yes, internet and whatever other magazines or whatever will have more knowledge, because that's where like the current things that has to be discussed. So however, the textbook is not compulsory. So I have put like, if you all are looking for like, can't we have a textbook and have a look, right? This is one book like I went through with publishers and found this is maybe an interesting book, so that there are quite a few things, but not all the things that I am discussing are being addressed by that book as well. So the next book, Dr. Nuradi's part, she will discuss as well, like I just put here, and that's right, when she introduced the course on the 6th week, she will be. So this is how basically the course, it's, I think it's not a difficult subject, right? But let's see, like once the exams are over. However, if you have any questions, definitely you can ask, then I can answer. If not, like you can tell, okay, you are okay, so that I will move to the.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, yes.
Two out of 3 means that is 3 questions are provided.
Yeah, I am giving 3 questions, so you can read and choose the best 2 you like, because some other parts I'll be mixing here and there, right? So basically you have to choose like optional kind of, like you have 3 questions, you have to answer any 2.
Right. So 3 hours will be given, huh?
Yes, 3 hours will be given, right? So basically you have to answer 4 questions. So each question is also 25 marks in the way, right? Because you get 100 marks, then it will convert it to 50, right? But maybe like, okay, I'm discussing with respect to my part 1, because part 2, if Nuradi says like one part is compulsory, out of the other 2 questions, you have to pick one. So that also is a possibility that time to time it can be the case. But in my case, I have made all 3, like I just give it like you all to answer any 2. Right? So that's my one. But basically it's 2 questions out of 3. Any other questions? Oh, okay. So I prefer like to get feedback. Okay, if of course, like unfortunately, I won't be able to do face-to-face. Like initially we thought, like because it was designed, we were going to start face-to-face because then we can interact, right? But he also tried to use this technology as to the maximum, and we will try to discuss. Yeah, any other questions, or are you all okay?
Yeah, okay, sir.
Okay, good. Right. So then I will move to today's topic. Okay, I hope you all can see this. Yeah, so here computer networks, right? Internet, virtualization and things like that. By the way, you might have got this because the other one I didn't give like the details, right? Which is like basically the course note will be there. Now, when I'm giving the notes, I think I hope, because I couldn't check on the LMS, I'm giving 2 sets of slides. One set of slide is just as it is like a color, full page, right? That is this slide as it is. And then there is another slide set I'm giving that pure black and white, which 2 pages per sheet, that for printing, if you are like, let's say like if you had face-to-face, like you come with the printout, right? Even if you're doing it now, that's okay. But however, if you're printing, don't print the color one because you're wasting toner as well, right? So that's why I'm giving you the black and white one for printing purpose, and the other one note will be given for you for reference. So generally all the slides that I'm discussing here with you all will be given to you all. But however, I'll be discussing more this because basically these slides are a pointer for me to do the lecture, right? So it's not full note essay, right? So I will be discuss as we go on. That's why like I want you all to interact, right? Because I will do ask questions from you all, and then that's where like the learning happens, right? Because I'm not trying to teach you all in this course, in this part actually of the course, part 1, because I'm trying to make you learn, right? And that's where like you have to interact with me and get it right. So don't think that we have the slides, right? We can go ahead, right? Because the slides are pointers to me to do the lecture proper. So we will discuss as we go on, and then you might have to write on, right? So that's where like you have to keep a piece of paper, and probably that's where like for the exam point of view as well, what you will be getting. So probably from that, right? Okay, I'll go back. Accidentally hit the key. So because that you have to write down, right? The slides as it is you will be getting. So if you later on, like if you didn't took a printout, right? Maybe next time onwards you can keep a printout and then write it down with that. Right? So we will discuss more on those slides as well.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Will you be uploading this session to the LMS as well?
Session in the sense like the slides here?
No, the recorded.
Yeah,
I see that.
I will check. Yeah, I will check whether the coordinator. Right. Last time was I tried to record myself, but only thing is we will see like if it is possibilities there on the LMS, yes, I can give you, right? But if not, like you have to follow that. I will talk to the coordinator and get back to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So here, first of all, like I would like to know, like, okay, I will ask from you all. So what are computer networks? Computer networks, what are they? Yeah. So this is where like I want you all to get involved with my lectures, right? So that way, like based on your answer, right? Yeah, try your best. Like okay, we'll discuss, right? Okay, let me see. Like there was
Like Wi-Fi, sir, for an example.
Wi-Fi, for example. Okay. Any other answers? Yeah.
It's a group of computer connected. It's a group of computer connect with each other.
Very good. Yeah, that's right. It's a group of computers or set of computers connected to each other. That is what we say a computer network is, right? So a computer network is a group of computers connected. And then what are the advantages we can get from a computer network?
Share the information.
Yes, share the information, share the resources, right? So yeah, that is good. So if I just write down here, if we have a set of computers like this, right? So we can connect them, right, together, right? There are different forms of this. I'm not going to teach you like different forms of connecting them, right? That's what like some people call like bus network, star network. That's what it's not like that is not required for you all, right? That's what I'm not going to discuss with. So don't worry that that technical part will not be there, right? But a set of computers connected together. Why? Probably this might be a special printer, right? That has been connected here, and it's like, let's say 1 million rupees. we don't want to give that printer to each and every, but everyone want to use it. So that is why what we are doing through network is we are sharing this resource, right? $1 million or rupee, whatever, and then others can use that. So that is why that is one of the main advantage of sharing the resources, right? So sharing the resources is what then the importance of a network. So network is a set of connected devices. Of course, yeah, if I ask, is this hardware? Okay, if I write it like this, is this hardware or software, right? Theoretically, so like when you see the network, this is, you know, this is hardware, right? There are computing devices, routers, switches, we call, right? Again, we're not going to learn about those things, right? But yes, it is hardware. Also, remember, I told you earlier as well, hardware cannot run itself, right? So then we need software. So computer networks also software plus hardware both, right? So we have software and hardware together, and then we can make this set of interconnected network, right? And then what we call a computer network. So then my next question, the second question, now I'm going to come up to the topic. So what is then the internet? So this is a network, right? So if I just draw like, okay, can I get a different color? Give me 1 minute. I have to.
Connection of networks.
Connection of networks. Okay. Okay. Yeah, connection of networks. Anything else that you would like to?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Do we have to put our registration number in the chat group like we did in the other semester?
Yes, you can do that because as a practice. But however, I think I have made a registration that when you all log into that, you might have.
That's what I asked.
So because
Do we
that
have
I can take that and give it to your coordinator regarding that. But for the sake of, since you all are here, so you can put that as well. If they ask, like I can give that also because they have been asked us to save the chat, right? So then I can do that. Yeah. Yeah. So it's yeah. Someone said like let's say this is a network, right? And then internet, you can have another network, right? I just draw because this is the same scenario. So then when you interconnect them, right? So then right, interconnected network. So the word internet is coming from that, right? So it's two words combined, interconnected networks, right? So when you interconnect networks, you can get an internet, right? So that's how like we get internet, right? So yes, you use for a lot of things the internet, right? And I think even today we are doing this lecture because of the internet, right? So internet, if we draw like these are different networks, right? And then they all are interconnected, right? Different forms, right? And then we can create the internet, right? So now, okay, now, yeah, if you have any questions, please ask, right? So we can keep on listening and you can also try to update yourself. But in the meantime, you can ask any questions as well. So now I will launch you all a poll, right? See whether you all can see, right? There's a question I'm asking. What is the correct term to use? Like just, there are two words there, right? Internet, right? There are two different ways of, I have written that. So when you refer internet, right? Which internet we can use? That I would say A and B here, right? I can see now people are voting, right? So let's do it quickly so that without taking too much time, but I just want to get the feedback and then what others are saying. So this is where, like, if you refer internet, right, in a document, or if you're writing a report, right? So which term that you will be using, the first term or the second term? We will try to discuss that as well. So I have about 50 people out of 95 have given their preferred term that you use the first, I would say A with simple I internet, B with capital I internet. Okay, quite good. I have about 75 out of 94 people. So I will give another, maybe I'll count to 5, right? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I will say, okay, 80 came, right? Okay, in the poll, and then I can share the results. Like, this is what you all said. So 53 people said the second term, 28 people said the first term, right? Okay, so out of that 90, 80 people have given me that feedback. That's good. Okay, now let's try to see that as well. So I'll try to clear this one. The two terms, internet, right? Yeah, anyone would like to comment on this? Okay, I will say here now, A and B this time. Internet, right? So when we refer internet, right, I have said here internet as well, right? Which one we should use, right? Is there any special thing, or like what is all about, right? Or is this has any difference between these two? Yeah, because you might be having some doubts, because we have some number of people said the A, some number of people, or most people, not I would say most, like about 53% of people said, I think, B. This is one of the MBA students, like about 5 years back, when I asked that in the class, one said, like, this is one is a verb, the other one is a noun, right? So yeah, that's what I need some feedback like that, so that then we will start learning on that. Yes, in a way, yeah. One is a name, that's a noun, right? So this is where, now remember, yeah, I said interconnected networks. So then internet is coming from that, in that case, it's correct. Like, so internet means like whenever you interconnect some networks, that can be used right here. But so then this internet is a bit different. Okay, so the B word, who can tell me, like, what is the difference? Okay, I'm trying to explain, or what I'm thinking here. I'm saying that there's a difference here. The internet is also correct. That is interconnected networks, right? So when you have this number of networks, let's say 4, they have been interconnected in this fashion only, right? Someone can ask, do you need to have a line like this? Yeah, it can be our line here. That let's assume it's connected. So this is an internet. This is correct. So what is special about this internet? Yeah, anyone would like to take this?
It is to differentiate other networks from the internet.
What do you mean, like the second one, or?
The second one.
Second one, to differentiate that?
Yeah, from other networks.
No. That's what, so this is what I said. I'm going to facilitate learning rather than teaching. So if I want, I will say this is what simple A means this, capital B means that, right? That's it. And then I will go to next topics. That's what learning means. Like you asked, like we will try to discuss, explain, right? So then you can also argue with me, right? I'm okay.
So this is just an assumption or an opinion.
Yeah, that's right. That's what this is what I want from you all, right? This is like, if you are in a face-to-face lecture, I will never move from here onwards. But unfortunately, now if all of you all get quiet, so now I have to somehow do this lecture, because it's very difficult to come too closer to you. Okay, go ahead.
So, I mean, did it become a noun when the browser Internet Explorer came in?
No. Don't confuse with the browser. No, that's not related to browser. But yes, noun is there. That I will take that term. Noun is there, but why? Yeah, someone was also trying to explain.
Is this a mode of connecting? Is this the mode?
No. Mode is also same. Like, because internet means, like, that's what everyone said. Oh yeah, internet means just internet, interconnected networks, right? So what's all about this? But the difference here is, now this internet refers the world largest interconnected network. Interconnected network. That is what we call this internet, right? So we can have any number of networks like this and interconnect. So this is also another internet, right? This is also another internet, right? Like that. So I'm not going to connect each one, right? But then you can have the biggest interconnected network where, okay, that is also another good question. I would say on Earth, because we are there, right? We don't know about Jupiter, Mars, right? Or Saturn, right? With the, they do have connected networks, but on Earth, right? So whole, this world, whatever we are in, right? I'm not saying in Russia or US or Japan, right? The whole thing, right? So that is the biggest interconnected network is what we call, that's what we use. There's a article we use, the internet, because we have only one, right? So that's why, like, when you refer the internet, right? So that we use capital I, right? Simple I you can use, it's not wrong, but that's what, like, someone said about this noun term, right? So it's kind of a noun we use to refer that the biggest, right, which is on Earth, right? The biggest network that we have. So you and me today connected to that in order to get our Zoom running and then my slides coming to your computers, right? We are using that internet, not the University of Colombo network, not the Mars Holdings or the Haley's network, right? They also might be having their internets, right? But we are using the internet, right? Anyone has heard about any other term other than these two when you are referring internet related stuff? Yes?
Can we use web?
Okay, good question. I'm going to come there, right? Web, right? I'll keep I have another question for you, right? I'm going to explain that also. I will keep it for the time being, right? Park it. Any other term? Okay, not web.
Intranet, extranet.
Very good, very good. That's what I'm also. Intranet. So what is intranet then? How about if I ask in the exam paper, right? What is meant by an intranet? So these are the kind of, okay, by the way, as we go on, I will be telling what sort of questions I'll be asking in the exam paper as well. So if you look at it, past papers also, probably you might see that, okay, those things I have asked as well. So this is where, like I said, so I have the slides that is not there, right? Because we are discussing. So what is an intranet? Yeah.
Which is restricted to a selected area.
Very good. It's like a
network confined to a particular organization.
Very good. Very confined to a particular organization. This can be, like, I take Haley's, right? So this can be the Haley's intranet. Actually, it's an internet with simple I, right? You can't say Haley's internet because Haley's can't have internet. We are using this with capital I internet that we refer the big one, right? So it can be confined to a organization or a body, like, let's say, University of Colombo intranet, it can be, right? Or like Colombo Municipal Council, okay, let's say they have distributed something with COVID and whatever, right? There's some internet through service provider. So then that can be, so it can be a bit bigger as well. Don't always think intranet is about a building or it's just a company, right? Because a company also, like the Haley's, can be around the country, right? So intranet word is another term that we use for this. So that's where, like, using with simple I is not sometimes recommended, right? So when you, because we always connect to this, right? So you can say I connected to Haley's internet or the Mars Holding internet to check my mail. And then to get the lectures or to listen to our lecture today, I connected to the internet, right? Not to the internet or to this internet. So is that clear, or any questions, or have I made you all fully confused? That is like, if I made that, so you can say, so we are completely now.
So can you repeat that last sentence, what you said?
Internet is internet, which is on a, I would say, within an organization, right? So that's, we'd say, like I took an example of an Haley's or even University of Colombo, right? So then let's say when you come to University of Colombo, let's say, I don't think we have that kind of a internet that, okay, we have Wi-Fi and things like that. So that because that you can connect to that, you don't need any internet connection, but you can through Wi-Fi, you can straight away go to LMS, or you can, let's say, talk to a lecturer. We don't have that, but let's assume, right? So these kind of things, that is an internet. So internet is a local internet, a small internet, I would say, right? Then you can understand this is the biggest, right, on earth. That is what we refer internet. Okay, so try to not to use this word simple I, because most of the time you are referring to this B type internet only when we are connecting to the internet, as we say. Okay. Clear that, right? So with that, let's move. So now we have some idea about this internet, right? And so here I have as what is the internet. So it is the largest network of networks in the world. So you can define in whatever the way. What I'm saying is the largest, right? So if you go to Japan or if you go to Singapore, like same internet, right? So we will try to see that as well later in these lectures. But it's kind of all interconnected. So let's assume this is the whole earth, right? You can see like Sri Lanka is somewhere here, right? So that's all, don't worry. This is just a picture. But you can see that is the internet, right? And we see it uses TCP/IP protocols. Okay. First of all, yes, so this part TCP/IP, right? We're not going to learn about TCP/IP, right? Because that is not, again, I'm going to teach you all, right? So I'm not going to teach you all TCP/IP, right? It's called Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol. Later on a slide, I have just put like if you are looking what it is, right? But we're not going to learn about that, right? First, I will ask, what is a protocol? Yeah, what is a protocol? Always try to refer with respect to internet. It's good, but in general terms also you can, because it's just the general knowledge, right? It's just not, you don't need any technical. So I'm not teaching for the IT guys here. And unfortunately, if there are some guys here who have done IT degree, please excuse me, right? But I'm trying to get everyone the required basic knowledge, right? Yeah. What is
It's like a
It's
platform.
an official procedure, some kind of procedure or a
procedure?
system.
Platform is wrong. It's not a platform. Yes, it can be a procedure. Procedure is also, okay, if you write in the exam paper, I will give you marks, right? It's like in the gray area, but of course a framework or like a platform, if you say that's, it's not correct. Any other answers like protocol?
System.
Not a system.
It's a set of rules.
Yeah, set of rules. Yes, common language, right? So it's called set of rules, a common language, right? So we say let's have a common protocol here. If one is speaking, if you also try to speak, if you hear another guy is speaking, please mute yourself, right? But when others are not speaking, yes, definitely you can use unmute it and speak it. So that's our protocol here in the class. So like I can define. So I think some of the protocols you learn by yourself automatically, right? Without telling this is the protocol. So it's set of rules, right? So then why do we need inside these computers now, computer networks, so like internet, right? It comes with networks, right? Networks comes with computers, right? So why do we need the protocols for these computers? Who can tell me that now?
to be able to identify each computer by its own identity, I suppose.
All identity as such. Okay, I'll just draw one computer here, computer 1. This is computer 2. And this is another device. I'll say it's a printer, right? And then what we are saying is these are connected, interconnected, right? That's what like we call a network or intranet, internet, right? So that's why like it can be anything. So yeah. So do you need protocols here when you are interconnected like this? What is the role of the protocol here in the computer network? So that can be another question I can ask. What is the role of the protocol or protocols inside a computer network? You might think it's very technical.
Is it to regulate the computers that are connected?
No, not regulate. Yeah, regulate. I would say like not directly to regulate as per se.
To use a common language to communicate.
Very good. Yeah, common language, common understanding, right? So I will say his common language, he said. I will take that. Or common understanding, right? Because now let's say here you, right? You just send a print, right, to the printer, right, on a A4 sheet, right? Double side, here on the first letter, double side portrait, right? So then it should do it, right? So it should understand your command by this device because it's all goes. By the way, you know what the computer's language? Anyone knows what is the language it speaks? It speaks some language like we will learn later, right? It's called a
assembly.
It's binary. Yeah, assembly is also correct. Like it's a language as such. But this is like how a computer can understand only ones and zeros, right? That's where like everything works. That's where like if we say digital, right? Or binary. So this is what, so then you have to like give that instruction, right? By this computer, that instruction has to be learned by this printer. If not, like it will print it on a A3 page, right? Single side on a, not a portrait landscape, right? So you're completely get upset because maybe this is not the way that you are given the instruction, right? So then, yeah, so this is where like we need to have a protocol in a computer related devices. So in a network or in an intranet or on the biggest internet, right? Or the internet. So we need protocols. So protocols has a big role here to use it as a common language, right? Because we are using it to share resources, right? It's just not like if we are going to be individual within the network, then we don't need the protocol because just you are individual, right? You don't speak to each other, but it's not, right? We are speaking each other. So then we need a common language. That's why, like I said, this is a nice term, like he said, common language. So the common language is what we call generally a protocol. Now on the internet, the common language is called TCP/IP. So that's a name, by the way, right? So that you have to remember it as a name, right? Not to understand what is TCP, what it is going to do. But if I ask in the exam also, what is the role of the TCP/IP? Don't try to technically explain TCP is trying to do this, IP is trying to do this, or TCP stand for this, IP stand for this. Right? Just for you, it's just like Ajanta or Saman Silva, right? Or whatever, right? Haley's, right? It's a name, right? So TCP/IP, right? Don't try to think beyond that. But that is a name of the protocol, but that is a common language that we will be using inside the internet. Okay, is that clear? Or any questions you can ask?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so then any device that we connect to our internet or intranet, right, or your computer network, whatever, right, you should right, make sure that it is TCP/IP aware or it and understand that language, TCP/IP, right? So then only we can use it, right? So now we know that TCP/IP is the
one correction.
Yes,
so
sure.
TCP/IP is a one language.
Yeah, good question. So in the technical perspective, actually it's a two protocols right? TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol. It has quite a lot of things to do with the transportation of our data. And Internet Protocol is Internet Protocol. IP is Internet Protocol. It's just basically do the routing part, right? Okay, this is not related to you because you asked that question. I'm telling from, yeah, this is a bit unfortunate, right? I don't know these guys who were invented. So they have, because they had two protocol names, they put with a slash. This is actually a name, right? For you, like TCP/IP is a name, right? So we just read it TCP/IP. That's it, right? But it's a name of the protocol given, or that's a common, like I use other person's knowledge, like a common language that we use inside the internet. Okay. Now, remember, whenever you buy a device, let's say I'm going to come and sell you a projector, right? Now, this is why now we need IT knowledge, right? So you all are decision makers, right? So you are the guy now who is going to sign for this tender, or you are going to make the order, right? So you are not a lower level executive, but you are a decision maker, right? So you are some IT guy or someone comes up to you and says, sir, there is a nice projector, right? That's like, because when you buy this projector, you can connect via internet, right? And then we can do a lot of work, like from our office, like we can present straight away to that. We don't need to bring our laptop to the boardroom, sir. Like, sort of like you can make a story, right? But then, so some guy is trying to sell you this, right? So then you can say, okay, let's buy it. That's good, right? It's a projector. So is it working on internet? Yes, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's connected rather than say internet. Let's say they are saying, no, in your internet, it is working, right? Because we can make sure that I can show you a demo, right? How it works, because then I'll put to you one of your computers, right? And then I'll show you, and later on the projector takes that PDF file or the PowerPoint slides and then projects it, right? But you should be a bit intelligent in the sense, right? Because you know, like, okay, we can use within our intranet, that's all right. But then we have a branch office in Kandy as well. So we are connected through our SLT. Or, okay, I will be taking sometimes examples, SLT and Dialog, right? So that's, I'm not trying to, what do you call, promote them or whatever. So for the lecture sake, right? Try to make sure that don't try to go and tell, like, if you're a Dialog guy, this guy always talks about SLT, right? That is, I'm not being paid by any of the organizations, but I'll take examples like that. So that's like, let's say I will take SLT or whatever, right? So we have SLT link, right? So that they are connected through normally a TCP IP network, right? Because that's like all the service providers. So today provided you connectivity through TCP, because we say that is a language, right? But now this particular projector, what they do is they put a special software, through that only it works, right? Because it is not compatible with TCP IP. They have a proprietary, but they usually, okay, with this projector, we will, like, sort of they are giving, they said, okay, it will work, right? They don't really tell you all the details, because they will show you and you say, okay, it's working. But now when you want to get the Kandy office guys to work, right? Okay, now the thing is, they said, okay, we can't get it now, we can't send it, right? The thing is, now it uses a different language, right? It's not this common language. It says, no, it works. Only thing is you have to buy another license of our software. You have to put it inside the Kandy branch, then only it will work. So then, so let's say this is just, now I'm making a story here, right? This is 200K, right? Just you got the software free of charge. You thought, okay, 200K. Now they said, okay, 50K is the software itself if you're taking another license, right? So you can see sometimes, yeah, there are some equipment where, like, hardware is not very expensive. The software is expensive, right? So that we will talk about later on in the other lecture. But now you can say decision-making wise, so like you should, so is this TCP IP compatible? As boss, you can ask, right? Because you don't need to know, like, what TCP IP is doing, right? So is TCP IP compatible? Because then, you know, if it says yes, right, you know that, okay, from anywhere of the world, our head office in US also, they can send it from there. So the meeting can be happen. So the guide CEO can project, push their data to the projector straight away from his computer in USA, right? Because internet uses TCP. So that's why whenever you buy any networking device, right, you should make sure that it is compatible with TCP IP, right? So if not, you have to purchase special software to talk to that, because then the language is not same, right? So then you have to have another common language which you have to pay and get it, right? Because this is, I would say, free, right? Free in the sense like, because it's a common internet, right? The language. So just I took a projector, so same thing can be a printer, right? I can come and sell it. It's a very nice color printer we have, right? We are now giving 50% since your company, like we can give you 75% discount, right? But only thing is it network computer? Yes, it's network computer, but again, same story can happen, right? So only with like when you purchase, they will give 2-3 licenses, but then when you want to connect more and more, right, then you have to keep on paying for that for licensing, right? But if it is TCP/IP, you don't have to, right? This is because your computer is supporting TCP/IP, right? That's how, like through Zoom, you can connect to my presentation because I have created a session today, right? So you all are connecting to that, right? Because if not, you all have to pay and get it, right? So likewise, you can think about this hardware, software coming together and trying to connect. So this is what you should know, right? So TCP/IP is the common language that we use on the internet. So any internet related device should compatible or should support TCP/IP. Okay. Yeah, any questions you can ask? So that is what it uses the TCP/IP protocol or protocols, I would say, because actually it's called a suite, right? It's a protocol suite because TCP/IP itself, as someone asked whether it's actually, if I take this separately, these are two protocols, but when you say TCP/IP, it's a protocol suite. It's hundreds of protocols are there within that suite, right? That's where like all internet, like today video conferencing also, we are using different other protocols, not TCP, not IP, not other things as well. So these are also required, right? If you do video on demand, you name it, anything, you play games, right, on the internet, because anything on internet, right, so that has to be. But the common, so the common protocol stack name is called, a suite has been called TCP/IP. Okay. Yeah, before I go to the third bullet, we'll start with you all another question, right? So I'm going to give you now a few questions. Stop that, and then the second. Okay, now all of y'all, okay, I have now 100 this time. So what I'm asking is, okay, there's someone also asked this question earlier. Internet and World Wide Web is same or different? It's no idea, right? If you don't have any idea, right? If it is different, then okay, there are a few people just started with saying different. Okay, then what it is, that difference is also you should be able to say. But just you can, whatever you think, right? So World Wide Web, all are same as well. By the way, I will be continuing the lecture probably without giving a break, right? If I need a break, or I will tell, but I will try my best to go it, but we'll see. Okay, one person said no idea. We have about 60 people out of 100 voted. But shall we count again to 5? Like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This time we didn't get up to 80 responses. Okay, just when it comes, okay, just now 80. Okay, I end the poll. Okay, this time the results are quite different. So 85% says it's different. Only 14% said it's same, and 1% said okay, no idea. Right, so let's try to understand that as well. Now, World Wide Web, right? Sometimes we call www, some people same as web, right? WW stands for World Wide Web. Some people call World Wide Wait as well. Right? That is because you are waiting and waiting. Right? That's the sarcastic thing, but it's World Wide Web or web. So that and internet, as the 85% people here said, it's different. It's not same. Right? So don't ever refer web and internet interchangeably, right? We do that. That's why like some people said here same, that is correct. Because generally, right, we just use our internet, web, they're same. But actually internet and web are two different things. If I take an example, if I just, this is kind of a road network, right? So this is like a infrastructure, like the road network. So that I would say that is the infrastructure. And then we have cars, okay, just lorries and buses, whatever, right? So these are the things that which goes over this infrastructure, right? So internet is an infrastructure, right? World Wide Web is an application, right, which runs on the internet. Right? So this is the difference. Now, internet is an infrastructure that we normally call connectivity. Because that's where like we call interconnected network. That's why we call internet, right? So connectivity is you got through internet. Then World Wide Web is an application that always you need that infrastructure to run that application, because if not, like no point of having cars. Now, today, let's say the whole country is locked down, right? Because today, like I am facing that from 5 o'clock today morning, I am in a lockdown now area. So in a way good, like we plan to have the lecture online, right? If I somehow had to physically come, you all be there. I can't come because today from 5 o'clock, I'm from Vattala, like, and I'm in a lockdown area. So yes, just I have a car, but I can't use it now, right? It's there because the infrastructure is not accessible. Same thing, right? You can have a web, right? But it's useless, right? It's just a computer, right? But you can't do anything because you need connectivity. Let's say I will take Saman and Pial, right? Saman has some photos, right? But he wants to show it to Pial, but then it's in Saman's computer, but Pial is in, let's say, in another country. But you can't share that. This will be talking about sharing resources. You can't share because the connectivity is not there. So remember, internet is the connectivity, right? And the web is an application. Today, we are now connecting. Actually, we are not using web today as such, right? For this lecture, like I'm talking about the Zoom session, right? Yeah, Zoom is an application, right? Some of you all might be running Zoom on the web browser. Right? So then you are using web there, right? But let's say all of you all, you don't have web browser. All your web browsers are closed, right? You're not doing anything. What you have open is Zoom software, Zoom application software. We normally call Zoom client program, right? So I have now set it up the Zoom server software. That's where like I can do a lecture because you have to connect to me to listen to my lecture, right? That's where like we call a client server model. I have a slide later on, so don't worry. So we have a model called client server. Always a client connects with a server. Actually, now I am the server, right? Actually, truly speaking, so there are IT guys here as well. So I am also not a server as per se, because server is in the Zoom, like actually in our context, Learn Network, like Sri Lanka universities, we have Zoom on-premise implementations. Actually, it is at the Learn Network, right? But for others, like just general knowledge, as you can think that server is with me, right? So, so what you all did was you all connect through my link, right, to the server. So do you all need internet? Yes, because without internet, you can't connect. So then you have to get from a service provider the connectivity. So Dialog, SLT, Hutch, or Lanka Bell will be providing you the connectivity. And then you need an application to listen to this lecture. That's where like you have installed the Zoom software, the client program, and I have set it up the server so that we are now doing that. So actually, there can be different applications on the internet. Internet is the common thing, the main thing, right? But the server that we are using is basically at one place, right? So did you all understand that the difference between internet and the web, right? It's not the same thing, right? But internet is a bigger one, that is the infrastructure, right? So web is one such application. So I'll try to clear this. So internet, okay, it's here. I have told internet is the infrastructure, right? Information infrastructure, internet. And then we know that on top of that, we run an application, right? Short applications, right? Okay, let's say web is one such application. I would say one here, web. Any other applications you can think of that we can use internet as infrastructure? So this is, I can ask you as well, right? Write down 3 or 4 applications that runs on the internet. So these kind of example questions I'll be asking, right? Yeah. So who can tell me a few more applications that you can think of?
Like Zoom, Teams.
Yeah, Zoom, Teams, like, okay, we will say like a common term, video conferencing, right? I say VC here, video conferencing equipment. Okay, good. Yeah, that's like the way in the exam paper, like if I ask such things, right? Don't write Zoom, then another like Teams, and then similar ones, right? Because sometimes I ask, write down 3 different types of operating systems: Windows 95, Windows 10, Windows 8, Windows 7, like Windows NT, like you write. So then I will not give you full marks in that case, because just you have to get a variety of that different things, right? Okay, I will say common term video conferencing. Any other?
Social media like
Yes, social media, it's good. Okay, social media, because social media you can't use without internet. So remember, that's what. Now, if you have a Facebook account, right, you can't do anything, right? Because you have to have internet to connect to it and then update. That's where like infrastructure is key. Anything else that you use day to day?
Email services.
Very good, email, because that's where like if I don't have email, I will not give full marks at all, because that's every time, because web and email is completely different. As long as you are using web-based mail, like that's what today, like you don't understand that much, because Gmail, Hotmail, right, or web-based, because of that you think, that is also web. No, like people who are using Outlook, they know that, okay, that's a separate application, right? Email. Anything else that you use?
Sir, does gaming clients count?
Yeah, gaming. Yes, good. Yes, that's a very important one, right? Games, or gaming, or games, I would say, games. So you can have a lot of other things, right? So social media, that covers a lot, right? And then you can say media, or like we call VOD now, video on demand, right? That's another application. Today, a lot of people watch teledramas, news, everything on video on demand, right?
That means YouTube, sir?
Yes, YouTube was like, but you can watch, like you can go to Netflix and get, and then you can go to, let's say, Ada Derana or Derana website, and then you can get all the Derana videos or teledrama that you have, right? So like that, so video on demand covers all these things, Netflix to those, everything, including, yes, your YouTube, right? But sometimes, yeah, it's not really social media. Sometimes people try to put it under social media as well, but generally it's like video on demand. So those kind of small mistakes that make, that will be all right, not using that technical details, but you should know. So these are the applications that we were running on the internet So internet is the main infrastructure. So is that clear, or any questions that you have or doubts you can ask? Okay, so that's just try to give you what is internet, right? So that's what I just explained to you all now. So internet is the largest interconnected network on this world. It uses a common language called TCP/IP, and then internet is an infrastructure, by the way. So it's not your web, it's not your email, it's not your video on demand, it's not your whatever. The applications are different. So that's where, like we say, don't say same thing. Like now someone is now asking from you, like, while, so are you now listening to a lecture? You say yes. Are you connected to internet? Yeah, that is connected to internet. Yes. Are you using internet to watch this lecturers discussing this? Actually, yeah, I'm using applications. I'm using Zoom, right? But yes, internet is there. Internet is the connectivity, right? As well, like when you say, yeah, email is the application, web is the application, like that, you have to remember. And not remember in the sense like understand as well. Yeah, so this part basically is not part of my note. It's like if anyone wants to read about more brief history about the internet, just type this term on the Google, right? And then these are the real fathers of the internet, right? So these are the people who created the internet, and there is a paper, research paper you can read, right? Like they talked about like why they wanted to create and how, right? So this is for your knowledge, extra knowledge. So I will not ask in the exam paper under the brief history of internet, what are the names or who are the names? I will never ask these kind of exam paper questions, right? So by the way, windsurf, like we call windsurf, and then Robert Kahn, or we call Bob Kahn, right? Robert or Bob Kahn. So these are like key pioneers who created the internet, this internet, right? They are not the guys who created the web. They are not the guys who created the Facebook. They are not the guys who created the other things, other applications. Right? There are different guys, right? But these are the guys who created the internet. Rave, I will not ask that those names in the exam, but knowing them and reading some, if we have some free time, right? So this is, I would say, extra thing. Okay, so this is what we do, right? When we use the internet, this is like, I would say, the architecture, right? I said earlier, the client server model. So generally a client always makes a request, right? So then on your computer, get me this, I want to go there, right? Or that's what, like I have sent you a link via an email, right? We can use different other media. I should have used WhatsApp and then send it to you all. All right, I can SMS you all the link. So there are so many ways to get the link, right? But then you click the link. What will happen when you click the link? So there is a request will be generated, and then the request will be sent over the internet. So this is the internet. You can say network means the internet. It's just not a, by the way, don't confuse with cloud computing, right? Because a lot of people think it's cloud computing. It's not. Cloud computing is a completely different thing. We will discuss that separately. So the request will be coming. Let's see, where is that? Okay. So request will be coming to the server. So this, you can be in Colombo, this can be in US, right? And then actually this today the Zoom session, even though it says it's a Zoom, it's in a US product, like at the moment the Zoom is being installed at the Learn network, right? That's actually in the SLT cloud data center, not a cloud. So that your request comes only up to SLT, and that's where like we have installed that. That's where the server is, right? Which I'm also connecting from home to that to deliver my lecture. And then what the server will be giving back to you, the reply, the response, and you are getting. That's where like it's been, now you can see that what I'm explaining. So you have requested earlier, and then you register, and then you got that, and then now you are connecting. So now the information is flowing, right? So as long as the connectivity is there, that's why like if the internet is now cut down. So you will not be able to get. If the server is down, definitely you will not get. If your computer is down, you will not get. So these are the options that it can happen. But basically, you can see this is the internet infrastructure, right? Then the application is running, and then you are getting that service, right? So when you are doing web browsing, same. When you want to check your mail, you will use your mail client, right? This is not, again, Gmail I'm talking about, your Outlook or some other similar Edora or something, mail servers, right? So you use your mail client, and then you try to read, then from the mail server, it comes back to you, and you can see response. So this is architecture that we have here, what we basically use, right? So you can see here on the top here, we have to use one of the applications, right? Sorry. One of the applications, and then those applications is what basically talks to the server, right? So mostly like web-based solutions or internet-based solutions, we do have a client server. That's like someone asked about gaming. That's where like you might have a gaming server. So a lot of people connect through gaming clients, and then they play each other because they are connecting to the server. So here also I have 101 people have connected from different places of the country to this server, and then we can 100 people actually, including me, 101, so that all the 100 students are now listening because you are connecting to this server, right? And you all of you all have to have a TCP/IP connectivity because this is a TCP/IP application we are running. That's where like you don't have to pay for anything because that's I would say free. That is the standard protocol that we use on the internet. So these are a few terms. I think this is the definition that the common procedure, right? Common language, right? So it's what a protocol is. A browser, now we discussed. It's actually a software package, right? Yeah, some of the exams I have asked, like write down 3 browsers as well. Like I will not ask all the time. That's a very simple questions like that. But of course, you should be aware of that. And then you understood the difference between the internet and the World Wide Web, because this is the infrastructure. This is an application which runs on that. Okay, so now let's, I will go back to a little bit of history, like what has happened about this internet, how it has really started, because that's a very bit of an interesting story. I will not go throughout the whole series of that. Somewhere around late 50s, right? Because USSR at that time, Russia is very powerful, not as today. And it's a big threat to USA. So because of that, because of the Sputnik, and okay, now the Sputnik 5 is there, right? So I don't know whether that threat will be start again. So US had, we call a project, right? Which is called ARPA, Advanced Research Project Agency. Under that, under Department of Defense, you can say it's a kind of a not disclosed thing, right? They wanted to have a network. That's what, like at that time, different types of networks were there. Not this type of network were there, which we are using as internet today. Because that's where, like, if I go to computing knowledge, the theory, like we call circuit switching network to packet switching network. That's where, like, we don't need those things here, right? But they develop a new network, right? Model, right? We call it a packet switched. I will not ask these things in the exam, right? What is the difference between a packet switch network and a circuit switch network, right? But just for the sake, like trying to understand that, there's something because it's a different model, right? Than what we had early 50s or mid 50s, right? So they were developing under Department of Defense. It's a disclosed like project, a network, by the way, right? So it's a private kind of a network because this is like they want to use it, like not to give to USSR, right? So then their main concern was like if US was targeted and hit by a bomb or whatever, right? If one of the areas were down, right? Let's say Washington is down, still the country can be run because like they are connected, so that from on some other place, right, from New York or somewhere, like they can run it, the operations, even whatever the strategic part is being bombed and then destroyed, right? So that's what like their target. So they want to have a connected network, right? And then information sharing. That's what like we talked about earlier, right? So they started developing that in late 50s, but by 60s, or I think by 65, like that particular time period, somehow US were able to tackle the USSR threat in a different way. You know, like what has happened to USSR, like just put into pieces, and then there are so many countries created, so like whatever. So then that's like political. I'm not going to talk about this, I'm more technical. So that is what happened. So they have developed a nice network here in case like something happens to use, but it was never used till 1969. So it's like about 10 plus years, it was just lying there. So then some of the key guys who worked, like mostly the industry experts, university professors who were in that, right, design of this. So then actually 4 university professors, like 4 groups of university professors, like Stanford University, University of California, Los Angeles, University of California, Santa Barbara, and University of Utah. So these are the 4, you can see only 4 computers have connected, right? This, and then they said, okay, let's try to share, right? And then let's try to have some network like this, right? And then try to share resources, right? Because no, like the government or the defense is not interested, because we have designed that, but it's never been used, because never been required to use. So that is what, so this is what we call then ARPANET, right? ARPANET. So that's how like ARPANET was created. So actually 4 computers. You can see how like today the internet, and then in 1969 it was just like 4 computers. So then like when they tested, it was quite good. So then they said, okay, we can do, right? Anyone know like what sort of application they would have run on this, right? Because this is infrastructure they built, right? Infrastructure. So what sort of application you think they could have used, they would have used? Any suggestions? These 4 professors or 4 guys? Yeah, anyone who would like to try? Hello? Hello? Anyone would like to think that what sort of application they would have used to demonstrate this, because there has to be some application, right? To tell you, World Wide Web was not available at that time. This is, I'm talking about in 1970s, right? Soon after doing that, right? So 1970s, World Wide Web was not there. So actually they used whatever we are using today, right? But not much, like as the name say, they call a protocol called FTP. It's called File Transfer Protocol. Just basically download a file. You will be doing that through web today, because just you click on a hyperlink, and then you know like how to download any files. You have downloaded enough files, I think, in your life now. So that's basically the application they developed initially, called File Transfer Protocol. And then they demonstrated, and they said, okay, we can use it as a network now, right? So they didn't use actually TCP IP at that time, right? That's another good story. But they had some protocol, right? The common language between those 20 computers at that time, right? So they were using about 20 computers in 1970, and then they were trying to get that as an important network. So then they want to have international people connecting. So then the first international connectivity came from 2 places, University College London, UCL, and the Royal Radar Establishment in Norway. So Norway and the UK are the first two countries to connect to this whatever we call internet at that time is called ARPANET. And then they were also using that with some other protocol, right? This, and they were quite happy. So that's, you can see this is how it evolved, right? So then quite a few things happened. And then in 1982 only, the TCP/IP protocol suite was defined by the developers, right? That's like it's the father of the internet. So those are the names that I showed you earlier, right? So who were in the initial decision, but then some might have dropped down, but the military guys, but of course, the other guys developed further and called TCP/IP, right? So with that, I think there were about 1,000 worldwide computers were using, right? But you can see even by close to 1990, they had about 100,000 computers or devices connected. This is the size of the internet, right? 1990. So that was like a TCP/IP based network, and people maybe other than US, right? UK, Norway, and later on Japan, Europe, all are being connected. I think if we have some SLT guys here, say they also might know, like there is a 1991, I think Sri Lanka is being connected to the internet, right? If you look at the history, right? So then, because SLT people know, but that's where like the first connectivity happens. So yeah, as a country, like we also in that particular 100,000 numbers or a little bit beyond that, we have connected. Everything happens after 1991, because 1991 only the World Wide Web was invented. Now you can see that internet and World Wide Web are two different things. So this is an application which runs on the internet, right? And then it was like this was created in 1969, but of course 1969 is the ARPANET, but actually, as I told you here, TCP/IP suite, it was like 1982, right? So even at 1982, this was there, right? And then 1991, only the World Wide Web application. So before that, then before 1991, we had file transfer protocol, and there was another well-known protocol. We call normally SMTP because of the protocol name. This is what our email. So emails were there. So emails is a long history than web. Okay. So emails were there, and there are a few other telnet and few other things which is we're not using. So these are the protocols we had initially, but then you can see soon after, just a guy called Tim Berners-Lee from CERN, right? So he was working. So it's not a US thing, right? Because internet is US, because that's what it is coming from Department of Defense. All the people, mostly, like I think 99% of the people who involved with the design of TCP/IP and everything, all are Americans. And then, but they had applications like FTP, SMTP, what we call this is a killer application, the main application that we use today, which just came from Europe because it's a CERN. His name is Tim Berners-Lee. So he developed that, and you can see straight on, like it was 1 million, right? It just, we don't go like, so these things I will never ask in the exam, what happened in 1993 and like that. But as you know, we have about 7.8 billion people. As of 2020 December, we have about 5 billion users connected. So this is the state that we are in. So it was increased to about 5 billion, right? Users using it. Just about 1990, about 100,000. So you can see World Wide Web has made a huge impact to the internet for its usage, right? Of course, it has made some other issues as well. So we will discuss that as well in this course. But basically, the 5 billion is a huge number, right? Because out of 7 billion, 5 billion almost are using internet. So that's the development of the internet, and on that phase of development, we are having different applications, and 1991 comes the real killer application, which is we call the World Wide Web. So these are some statistics. By the way, if you want to check these statistics like later, because this is I think to 2021, I have not updated all. So this is 2020 update. So just you all have to go to this URL, right? This is www.internetworldstats.com, right? So this is the site you can go, and then you can get some statistics, right? So if you're also later on looking at some statistics, you can get them. So you can see mostly users are Asians, because that's right, because China, India, Korea, Japan, all are, right? So this is where like the Americans who created it, right? And then Europe is also have done the web. So these are the owners, right? I would say. Then who are these? These are the users, right? So internet was created. It's a sort of a American product, right? Or it's a Department of Defense project. But then later on it was converted to Department of Commerce, right? From Department of Defense. And then, however, the real application came with web, right? So today, web-based things, a lot of things are there, right? That's what like even, but then video conferencing, gaming are different other applications, right? Which also trying to be, but however, it was not able to overpass web, because we are using web for everything now. As well, like now here, the finance guys, like, so you were doing business, right? In a different way. The web has come and changed that into completely different way. Now you all have to learn that as well. That is we call e-commerce, right? So that's where like, so the web has changed everything, right? We have a traditional way of watching television, listening to radio, but now that those things have been changed, right? Video on demand, music on demand, right? So those kind of things. You can see a lot of changes have happened because of this particular special application that was created. But there are other applications as well, like someone also asked about these games also, but not within the younger generation. As games are popular, they are using, some are addicted, but it's really not much, because social media is also part of web, because this, on top of web only we are running social media, right? That's why I said YouTube can be under social media, or YouTube can be as a video on demand sort of category, right? Sometimes like here and there you can put it, but some of the games are also today web-based games are there. So then it's just, you can see web-based in a way trying to absorb everything, right? Your traditional transactions, business, right, was there. Now it has been absorbed to the web. So it's e-business. So you can see, so this is what happened, right? If I ask this question, okay, I didn't put a vote on that. Who owns the internet? Right? Now, internet is here, I just put under North America, but is it only they owns that, right? That's a good question. Who owns it, right? Who owns, this is another question for you all to search as well on the web, right? And it's a very common, good question, and try to understand that, but I will try to answer that, not now. I said I should have asked like, yeah, there are some people say like this as well, like, because it's, some say like straight away it's America. That's the start is from there, right? But then some people say it's Europe, because that's, but whatever the internet, but without this real application, this is not really. But then someone can say it's Asia, because without this number of users, internet is not going to be that popular. So you can have different arguments. And there's another argument is there, like no one owns it, because it's everybody's sort of baby, because it was invented, the infrastructure is invented in America, application is invented in Europe, users are from Asia, all over the world. So then we can't say it's just one person is owning that. That is also a nice term, but these are different things that you can find on the internet if you search it. But I will come to the right answer later, right? None of these were the right answer, by the way. So that we will look at it a bit later, but to keep it as a curiosity, who owns the internet? So these are some of the statistics. Just I want to show you, like actually what I did was like, these are some of my previous lecture notes also. I just kept this. This is the current one, I think 2020 quarter 3. Probably this might be the latest. You have to go to that worldstats.com and see. Because I think I might have updated this, but I'm not 100%. You can see here 2009. Just I want to look at it Asia, and then going to give you a think like here, if I have some politically influenced people in this class, right, who can take decisions, right, that's good, so that I can maybe try to give you. So you can see Asia around 2009, this is the penetration levels, right, internet penetration levels, about 20%. So then you can see in 2013 they have increased to 31%, 2015 38%, 16 44%, and 2020 now it's where is your Asia is further down. It's about 55% or 58%, right? So my question is, how about Sri Lanka, right? Where are we? Are we with Asia? Are we close to that, right? So this is sometimes a bit bad, like where can we find this information, right? Maybe ICT agency, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, or Telecom Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka, right? So there can be different organizations, and Department of Census and Statistics, I think, right? Census and Statistics also, they do collect data as well. So some of these, but unfortunately in Sri Lanka, what happens is all these people do have in their reports and everything, but not one common number. Some people say like one number, like sometimes it's 20-30% higher than the other. So that's what like bit unfortunate, but we should have one common number, right? So this is our number X whatever, right? So let's try to see, like, okay, I'm not referring any of these organizations numbers like this. So then it's like, if you all are knowing that, like if you have connectivity, so you can update me as well, and then maybe you can tell your friends as well. So this is where we are in. So this is again coming from that website, right? Yeah, when you go to Asia Statistics, you can get that. According to them, right? This is that I'm saying, according to them, Sri Lanka, they are saying we have 21.4 million population. We have internet users 7.6 million. That's what they are saying. It's about 35% penetration level. They are saying there are about 7.6 million Facebook accounts, also like same number they are saying, right? So it looks like everyone has sort of a Facebook account, right? I don't know, that may be right. And I also do have an account. So if a lot of people here say, no, sir, we don't have this account, so probably then some others might be having, or that statistics is wrong, right? Just to look Singapore, right? Just, yeah, this whole Asian countries are there. So I just cut and paste, like just put it to a slide, right? Just highlighted Sri Lanka here, and then a few. But some numbers are bigger than us, right? Penetration levels. I can see Taiwan is 92%. Thailand is 81%. Vietnam is very good, like 72%, right? Even Bangladesh is about like 58%. I think this Bangladesh, there are two slides here, two photos here, like one I didn't update properly. I update just on the bottom part. So you can see they might have gone up. That's what I'm saying here is even Bangladesh might be more than 58% now, but we are behind, right? That's what like according to them, right? So it may be better off to check with these guys like Census and Statistics, right? Central Bank, Telecom Regulatory Commission, right? So we are somewhere around 35%, right? Where if I go back quickly, the Asian statistics about like, I think 59% here, right? So we are way below, right? So as an Asian country, like we are not up to the Asian average. So we need to improve, right? Anyone, any questions you can ask? I will take us a 1 minute break.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, how do you measure the digital literacy, and what's really included in it, and what sort of a calculation mechanism is there?
Yeah, that's what these are very vague. That's where like even if I remove digital literacy, like how we can talk about literacy, that's where there are a lot of arguments. We say we have 95% or whatever literacy, like just reading, writing, or like just understanding the letters. That's what level of knowledge that, so that there are different interpretations. So here also, like basically how people do is like how many people are being connected, right? So how many sort of like Facebook is another good thing, Facebook accounts, right? Or like how many people have internet accounts, or like how many users are registered with the ISPs. That's why TRC should be able to collect that information, right? Because let's say like SLT can tell how many ADSL users are being registered, right? How many wireless people, wireless connectivity people are there. So likewise, there can be these numbers has to be collected. So then someone, can you remember like when we had the last census and statistics, they were looking at each and every house, like in the questionnaire, whether you have a computer, whether you can use a computer. So likewise, they can ask few questions like, do you know how to use a web browser? Do you know how to download something? Like these are like measures you can get. So this is like maybe MBA students, like when if you are doing a project-based MBA, like rather than not a taught course, like research-based. So you can try to do a research on that, because not many have done that, and that it's not really we don't have. But unfortunately, even if you do that, it will not well recognized, or it was not put it in right places. That's why like either these organizations has to do that. But I know that maybe probably 2020, I think census and statistics were planning to have a country-wide census, but I think due to Corona, all have, I think, gone down. Probably they might have designed a better questionnaire, right? That's why like if you can reach those things and do analysis that, right? And then compare that with Singapore or Korea, Japan, how they have done it. That's a good study. It's a good question you asked. So I'm just putting back to you, right? But that we can do a research as well. Yes, that's subjective, right? But somehow like we should get some statistics. That's why like there are common standards the world that we can do that, and then see whether how applicable. But again, if you really compare Sri Lankan statistics, I know that it's very, very biased towards Western province, right? That's why like some provinces are very far below 35 or whatever that number that we are talking about here with this number, right? So that's the other thing. So then that's where like, okay, coming back to governments, the politicians, right? So that's what, how to reduce that gap, right? That's what sort of things you should do, right? Like, okay, coming back, like what sort of incentives the government should give to the telecom operators to give their infrastructure development, and then also like packages, right? As well, like I think like today, like because of this COVID, like we got some special packages like data packages for Zoom and other video conferencing and meetings, like things, right? For work from home, right? So can we get those things, because it has to be affordable as well, right? If it like you have to pay like 20,000 to get connectivity for unlimited, right? So that how many people can afford that, right? Whether they are going to use up to that. So there are a lot of questions. But however, yes, you ask a good question, right? That itself it need to be analyzed. But however, yeah, what I'm saying is in the bold phase, like we need to improve a lot, right? To in par with maybe Vietnam. That's why these are the countries we should be looking at. With Taiwan's, we can think Taiwan and other things like Philippines, probably Thailand are more sort of going beyond developed status. But however, Vietnam, Bangladesh is a good, and then Pakistan, because India is a big country. It's not easy, not better to compare with that country. But however, the other similar ones. Okay, I hope I didn't give you a direct answer, a specific answer, but I just try to open it up for you to think and maybe to do a research as well. Any other questions like that? That's what I prefer, those kind of things. So that's why like through discussion, we can learn a lot, and then you will also get the interest to get involved, and then maybe get some, read more. That's why like later on, you have to read more and get yourself updated. Okay, so I'll continue. Now you can see this is a picture, right? This is what we call submarine cable map. right? Just, I think this is an older one. Like again, I have put here 2019. Just try to put this same. I mean, Google, you can get the latest one, 2021, right? Sorry, 2021 submarine cable map. So this is how like the whole internet, right, as of today. You can see now we need connectivity, right? So let's try to look here, because again, here I'm trying to explain. Now we are trying to get a little bit more internal, deeper to understand the internet. So we have now understood or discussed what is internet, what is World Wide Web, what are applications, how it evolved and things like that, right? Now we are going a little bit further detail about the internet. So you can see now you have something. Change the color here. Some place here, right? And we need to talk about connectivity somewhere here, let's say, right? So there has to be some way connected, right? So this you can see land, water, oceans, everything is there. So what are the ways we can get connected things, right? Because just earlier when we say connectivity networks, like we just understood it is all on land. Really not, right? Internet can't be on land, right? It is just everywhere. So those days, initially what they did was like they were using satellites, right? So that satellites that you just project your signal over there, and then you put it down here to the ground station, and then you get it. So that's how like your connectivity was happening initially. So this is quite all right, but don't think that this is the way now we are doing, because the bandwidth, the capacity, right? Or like what we call the bandwidth. Is very, very small with respect to satellites. Okay. So yeah, this is how like about 10, 15 years back we had. So we were getting, that's why like internet was not that so popular, right? So early 90s, like this were like 1991 only, we know now that after web, there was a huge interest on people to get connected to that and see what's going on. But those days people were using satellites. But now huge demand, like everyone is trying to look at it. So they were looking at, but we have to put some cables. That's why the only option is putting cables, but not the copper cables that we know normally, the wires, right? But that we are aware of, copper cables. This is not able to go. These are like thousands of kilometers, right? Maybe 10,000s of kilometers. That's just not 1,000, right? 10,000s of kilometers. So then these distances are, you can't. So that's only option, like probably late, or I think probably late 90s, people came up with fiber optics. Fiber, BER or BRE, so whatever the way that we know, British or the American way, optics, right? So fiber optics gave us the solution, right? So these cables are all fiber optic cables, right? As well, like we call submarine cables, because these are under the seabed, right? So they are not, there are some cables can go across the land. Of course, you can place them so that you can put a cable like that. You could just dig the land and do that. It's not that difficult, right? You might have seen within the country, that's where like inside Sri Lanka, we have SLT, Dialog, mostly like those two service providers has put enough cables, fiber optic cables, right, within the land. But these are all on the seabed. So because of that, we call submarine cables, right? So because now if I say this can take up about, let's say 100 megabits per second, these fiber optics can get like thousands of terabits per second. See, terabits per second, right? So that's a huge bandwidth increase, right? So fiber optics. So because of that, don't always confuse like, okay, if we had satellites, right, we should have done much better. It's a wrong misconception, right? It's really not. Now it's a sort of a dead technology, I would say, satellites. We are still using satellites for television, satellite televisions that we are using, right? Not for data as per se, right? So because that is not enough, because if I say why, there's a delay as well, because generally we say, because it goes up, I can't remember how many, I think 13,000 kilometers in the sky, like it will go up. So there's a 200 milliseconds delay is there always, right? This way, like if you watch a cricket match, it's really not live here because there's a 200 milliseconds at least delay is there with the ground where it's playing, right? But we can get like almost live on a fiber optic cable because these bandwidths are so fast. Clean here. Right, so this is these are all fiber optic cables. So this is what how the internet is being connected. So because we need connectivity. So by the way, this is not World Wide Web, right? It's not web because web is an application. So it is a server. Like you have to, when you put a server here, right, and put some content, that will be web. But then this guy here want to see that, but he can't go and bring it. So he has to go on these cables up to there, right? And then bring it back, right? So web is an application that's where, like, if you don't have this internet infrastructure, you can't do anything. Okay, I think now it's clear to you all. So this is just like same thing. I have just highlighted this area, right? Just to look at it about Sri Lanka. So you can see here, Sri Lanka is there, here, I think here, right? So we have some cables going on. So one of the main cable which is coming to Sri Lanka is this cable, which is we call CMEV, Southeast Asia, Middle East, Western Europe, right? You can say that cable comes from Southeast Asia, that is from Singapore, up to through Colombo, through Sri Lanka, up to Middle East to Western Europe, right? It goes up to France, right? From Singapore to France. It's a very long cable that has a huge capacity. So this is where like most of our data is going on, right? CMEV. And there was another call, this cable landed sometime a few years back. It's BBG, Bay of Bengal Gateway, right? That is another cable, right? So there are
small question.
Yeah, sure. Ask.
Yeah, who won
yeah, good. Okay, good question. So that's curiosity gives me. So there are cable operator owners are there. Okay, I'll go back one slide up and come back. Okay. So these you can also search on the web, right? CMEV5, you can find that. So CMEV5, these are the investors, right? So Telecom Malaysia, Sri Lanka Telecom, right? Telecom Indonesia, like that. So SLT is one of the investors on that cable. So Bay of Bengal, I will take that. Then the Vodafone, Telecom Malaysia, right? Dialog Axiata, Etisalat, right? So these are the owners of this cable. They have invested, right? And they have put this cable on this undersea. This is a huge, okay, now this is what like whole exercise. It's very long, right? These big cables has to put in, right? So this is just it's a big number of reels, 10,000 kilometers, 8,000 kilometers. If I go back to the previous slide, it's here. The cable length is 20,000 kilometers, CMEV5. BBG is about 8,100, right? It says from where to where, right? So that's where like Malaysia to UAE. This is from, I think I said Singapore is wrong. I think Malaysia to France here, right? So you can go to the websites and read more, right? They have websites their own. So this is how like you need divers like to do certain things if something happens, right? So this is where like, can you remember, again, SLT guys who can remember can tell me the exact time. There we were out of internet because some of the cables which is coming to Colombo is being damaged by a ship, because these areas are not allowed to ship to anchor because they can damage these cables, right? So they are on the seabed, but still if they are put their anchors right, then they can damage. So we had a damage, like I can't remember exact year, but I think about 5 or more than 5. so that we were without internet for a few days, about 4 or 5 days, like until these people, divers, has to go there and do that. It's a very, very difficult job. But that's where, like, so if these cables were damaged, it's not easy. So this is the number of cables we do have, right? Some of the cables comes and connect to Sri Lanka at Mount Lavinia, right? So if you ever, again, like not during this time period, once the COVID is over, if you go to Mount Lavinia beach, you might be able to see there is you can't see any ships anchored through that area because that's a cable path. And then in Colombo, we get some, right? Colombo, I think, this SLT head office, OTS or somewhere. There are cables coming. And then there's another landing place that CMEV5 cable actually lands in Matara, right? So these are the areas where in Sri Lanka, the cables have been landing, right? Now, if I take a scenario, this is not the situation, but this is about, I think, again, 8 years back, right? Actually, at that time, CMEV5 was not there. CMEV3 cable was there, right? So CMEV3 cable was there, but it was landing at SLT because they were one of the investors at that time as well, CMEV3 cable. So the landing right had the yeah, SLT. Yeah, SLT. Yeah, SLT. So then I can tell you, like, sort of monopoly, like, in a situation can happen. Like, let's say let's don't assume like there are so many cables here now, just only one cable, it is coming and landing at SLT. Let's say now, let's take an example Dialog, right? So that this is not the real scenario now, right? And just to give you like a business point of view, and then what you all have to understand. So if SLT is now a service provider in Sri Lanka, very popular, but you can see they can't take their bandwidth outside because all the bandwidth have to go outside, right? We are not using, right, whatever .lk, right, sites which is in Sri Lanka, but all the things have to go out. So then they have to bulk buy from them, right? So of course, then this is where like monopolized, right? So that there's an issue, right? So that no point of having so many service providers in Sri Lanka, but we have only one cable and landing right is only one service provider. So they have the bigger say. There was a situation like that about 8 years or 10 years back. But then that's where, like, when the Dialog was bought over by Dialog Axiata, because then Dialog Axiata is one of the investors on this cable. So they had the landing right, but now BBG, the cable. That's where, like I said, like some of the service provider names here, Vodafone and Etisalat, right? They have now landing right. But let's say like, let's say myself and one of the guys here who has a lot of money, like we invest and we started our own as ISP we are running, but then we don't have a cable. Of course, we can get customers in Sri Lanka, but of course we have to buy it from one of these service providers again within Sri Lanka to get our traffic go out, right? So that's the scenario. But today, don't worry. Yes, go ahead.
Who wants more? Who owns more cables? That is SLT or Dialog?
Okay, maybe Dialog guys and SLT guys can do. Yeah, according to me, like yeah, CMEV cable is basically SLT is having the landing right, but however, since Dialog Axiata is also invested, they do have rights for that. But BBG cable, I think SLT is not involved. So because of that BBG cable, so you have to look, but not the cable number, but you have to, okay, how big this, like the cable is, big in the sense of the capacity, like it can be terabits or like petabits per second, right? And then you can go and check this, right? So that is where like important thing, like not the two cables, but let's say this cable is very huge compared to this, like, and another cable here, right? That cable is actually not hitting Sri Lanka. It's hitting, no? That's okay. But just don't look at it, the numbers, but you have to look at it, the capacity it can bring the data as well, right? But CMEV5 cable is one of the biggest cable as well, right? But again, I also don't know BBG and CMEV5, like as of now, I can tell, like, I think probably in my slide here, I try to capture few data, but not everything. Yeah, it's not here. You have to go inside the website, then you can read more details, right? So that's why, like, so now you all are decision making. That's why, like, so I'm not going to, I will not ask you to draw this diagram in the exam paper, right? But as long as we know that we need submarine cables to get internet connectivity is very important. But now when you are choosing ISP, like that's where, like, so you have to ask, like, okay, do you have landing rights of the submarine cables? And what is that the capacity? These are the things you should ask. It's not like what they offer the product, like the rate, like they said per megabyte we charge. Okay, this is like, let me say 10 rupees. The other one says 15 rupees. Okay, so 10 rupees is cheaper. Let's go in. But only thing is, it's not the case. You should look at it further up, right? So that do you have landing rights? Like if we, like, let's say your organization wants to expand in 2022, like you have a huge expansion or thinking of, like, would they be able to cater that, right? Do they have enough bandwidth? So those things you have to be ones you have to look at, right? And do you have backup? Let's say like you have only this cable. Now I said like we had a damage some time back, right? So if this cable was damaged, what are your alternatives? Do you have at least a satellite link to some other location to send? It's not a huge capacity, but at least we can send our emails, right? Because our business whole depends on the internet. And then without that, we can't really run. So this is what you have to look into. Because I think I can remember soon after that cable damage was happened, I think SLT had a cable with India. I think it's been called, okay, and I see it here. I think it's called this one, Bharat Lanka cable. So Bharat Lanka cable is from SLT to India, right? It's a small cable that they, if something damaged, at least the service provider can push their data to India. From India, the connectivity can happen. But they also do have a lot of cables landing, right? So likewise, you have to look into those issues. Now, if you look at it, Malay here, right? The Malay's main service provider is SLT because they are the people. Diago SLT cable is what they are giving. And then also Indians are also giving WAF cable, right? So all the Maldivians will get internet from either via India or Sri Lanka. Right? From Sri Lanka, SLT is a service provider for them, right? You can say that they are a service provider for a country as well because they have put a fiber optic cable and that they are giving them. So now, okay, I have put here, this is for business opportunities for you all, like who are thinking like to invest something. So there are some cables here, like flag cable. According to my knowledge, flag cable is not been landing in Sri Lanka. It's just going closer to Sri Lanka. This IOX cable came very recently. We can remember that year, like about 3 years back, probably. So this is from India to South Africa. There was a cable, I don't know, some reason, some investors on India and South Africa, they put a cable, but it was not landing in Sri Lanka. It's going close to Sri Lanka. So any one of you all can be like, talk to them and then be the service provider so that you can get the landing rights for that cable. Of course, you have to pay, right? And then to use that, because you are not an investor, but still you can ask them. So then they have to do that lot of work here on this cable and then get the connectivity. So then you can be a proper ISP, right? So I think flag safe, I think, I don't know, safe stand for something. That cable is also not hitting Sri Lanka. So these are 3 cables going close to Sri Lanka. It's not landing in Sri Lanka. So because we get more and more ISPs, yes, as users, we get more opportunities, right? Because the competition is high so that we get better rates as from service price. So that's where like maybe either even it's a government gives a grant, right? 10-year, 25-year loan, whatever, interest free, so that you go and be an ISP, right? So later on you have to pay to the government so that the load will be there, but then we have a service provider. So these are the things people can look into, like decision making, right? And whatever the different levels, right? But so for you all as a business organization, right? When you're trying to pick your ISP, it's always good, right? So this website, just Google, right? You can find these pages. Yeah, this is I saw in one of the Daily Mirror paper, and then I was just like, they were talking about SLT's backbone network architecture. There was an article, I just copied this picture. So these are some CME-V3 cable, CME-V4 cable, some like this is Bharat Lanka cable. This is I think Diago, whatever SLT cable. So some are to Colombo, some are to Mount Lavinia, and the CME-V5 cable connects to Sri Lanka at Mathura. So that's a very good decision as well, because we all had mostly Colombo, Mount Lavinia. Let's say something happens, let's say not a bomb blast or whatever. Like I'm talking about just some earthquake or something happens here in this. Just assume, right? So then these can get damaged, right? So then all these cables will be disrupted. So because here this is I think SLT based news article. So because of that, these are all SLT related links are there, but that's where like the dialogue, other ones are not here. To my knowledge, also they are also coming to Colombo or Mount Leveney area somewhere, right? So this is Mathura is a good thing, like so that you have another place as well. So another good thing is like if you are trying to start your company, right? Thinking a place be very much heavily on internet, right? So then I would say like Mathura is a good area to start your organized business, because that's where like the biggest cable lands there. So with one hop you can go, and then of course maybe the land is not as expensive as in Colombo. So these are the things that you can get from IT knowledge, right? But to your business. Now this is, I'm just reading from this. This is not what I have done. I have just copied from one of the newspaper articles. So this is like the dialogue cables are not there. So if the dialogue guys are here, I can't exactly remember, like here also it shows, but it not tell where this BBG cable basically goes to Mount Leveney, right? So that's where I think they don't have any other cable, any other place like. So that's where like this other cable which goes in Sri Lanka, which I say IOX cable from India to South Africa. So that's where like is just passing somewhere in the East Coast, so that like somewhere here a service provider can be and get a landing. So that's very good. Like we have Mathura landing area, Colombo, Mount Leveney, and then this side. So as a country, it's not a bad thing as well. So this. Okay, so this slide I think I have already done. Right, this is what we discussed earlier. So this is just a small note for you all to, right? If I didn't write down well. So what is internet? Basically, what I'm saying, it is a physical infrastructure which is runs on top using a common language called TCP/IP. But however, World Wide Web is an application, right? There is a protocol for that. We'll come there. It's called HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, right? We will look into that. But internet not equals web, because that's two different things, right? That's what like my slide says there. Yeah, any questions? No, right. Now we have seen the internet and the web, right? And I will go a little bit more into the internet side further to discuss a few more things, and then some important point from there. Now, I said the internet is interconnected network of the world or on Earth. If I just draw that whole thing is like this is the internet, right? So I write it with capital I. Internet, right? So here, like not like all submarine cables, everything goes on, right? But this is one place where someone is like a guy, person, right? And another person might be here, right? Okay, it can be server, right? Let's say server content, right? So this is where like the YouTube is there, right? So now if you want to watch YouTube, basically you have to send across the cables a request, and then you get the YouTube whatever video onto your computer to play it, and then you are just playing it. So remember, basically internet means a lot of people think just you connect there to the server, you are there. No, right? You make, this is what I call client server model earlier. You make a request, right? A reply will come to you. The content is playing on your data. That's where like this is we normally call download. This is you, right? This is the person, I would say you, right? This is the server. So this is what we call the upload. You upload it, right? The request will be processed as long as they can give you that, right? And certain things they will check whether you have paid that, then only they will give, right? Like Netflix or whatever, they just don't give, like you have to have a payment method and account that we'll talk about that separately. But then only like the content will be given, that will be downloaded. right? That's where like we need, so this is bit heavier, download is heavier, right, than upload, because upload can be just a request, give me that teledrama, right, episode number 12. So episode number 12 is about like 12 MB file or 12 GB file. It takes some time, right? Then once the whole thing comes to you only, like you can play that. That's why like it's called buffering, because while it is coming, you are trying to play. Like now you are played up to whatever you got it. Now others are waiting until it's still not reached your computer. That's why like we call buffering and waiting, right? Once it come on, it start again, right? It's not you are connecting here. You are just downloading that content, right? That's why like we say, even inside the organization, just don't download the same thing over and over, because you are just wasting bandwidth. You are paying for that. You have to pay for that, because this is your bandwidth. You just watch this video, right? Now you said, okay, again, I want to watch that. What you do is you make a request there and you get it back from that, right? So this whole thing will be downloaded. This way, like, as long as you are, we call caching, like if you can cache it, or if you can save it on your computer and play it. Let's say you had a habit of watching 3 times that particular video, right? I recommend you download that first, save it, and then watch it from your computer 3 times. Right? If you do it through the internet, what we are doing is you are 3 times you're downloading, you are using the bandwidth of your home or your organization company, because ISPs can't give you free of charge. They have to pay. You have to pay. They have to charge. Okay. So because of that, please remember that when we are using the internet, right? So internet infrastructure, as well as this, like how we are getting things, right? Because I took the YouTube because that's a video, it's a heavy, right? If it is a web page, it's not that heavy, but even some bits are there, right? Some bytes or kilobytes or are there, right? That's why like if it is having a lot of images and things like that, if it is heavier, then it's again expensive, right? That expensive in the sense like it is having enough data that you require enough bandwidth to download that. So a lot of people don't think that, like that's I have seen even in most of the organizations, just people just download as like they wish. They think that, okay, I'm just watching, there's nothing happens, right? Unless the organization or the ISP, whoever who is supporting you, provide you the caching mechanism that they save them locally and then provide you. But if not, you are just going back to the real content and then you are getting it. Okay, I will ask just I'll clear here, and then if I can get a whiteboard screen white. Okay, I will discuss a small scenario here. So I hope you all are listening and you all are with me. This is also like you should try to understand that this particular scenario, then you will really understand the internet, World Wide Web, and the cost associated with them, right? So it's where and how it works as well. Okay, I will try to draw a small, like, yeah, this is India and this is Sri Lanka, okay, and then this is just same US, right? So this is US, Sri Lanka. That's all I want, right? Just again that previous example. So this is a server. I will say that is YouTube, right? And this is you. Let's write it down at home. Let's say in Candy, right? You are trying to watch now, right? So you are in Candy, trying to watch a YouTube video, right? And then let's see, like you want to get one of the YouTube videos, right? how to search on the web, right? That's the video you are trying to download, right? Now, tell me, in order to get that YouTube video, let's say video 1, right? This is the video 1, whatever the video is, we are trying to get MPG4, right? File to Candy. So what you should have, this is where like I would like you all to get involved. So as a Candy guy, what you should have?
Sir, if you can repeat the question again.
Question like you are like there's a guy like who is in Candy, right? Want to access the YouTube and get this video 1 MPEG-4, right? And then watch, right? So let's say like just that's all, right? Then let's try to start from the class, beginning, like what you have to have, right?
Computer and the connection.
Yes, first computer, right? Good, yeah, computer, and then the connectivity, yeah, connectivity, right? So now connectivity, one of the ISPs, right? So let's say I'll draw ISP here. I'll take it SLT like this time, right? So now the connectivity is from SLT. They are going to get ADSL, right? So he has a connectivity here, right? Because SLT provides from, let's say SLT, let's assume SLT Colombo, like they will be getting from Candy branch office or Candy exchange, but this is the Colombo head office, right? So from Colombo to Candy, somehow SLT will have the internal network to deliver, right, and connectivity, right? So that SLT will look after through their fiber connectivity, and then from that Candy exchange to the Candy home, whatever, Anivatta, let's say, they have either copper cables or fiber optic they have laid, so whatever. So that part SLT will be handling. And then we know that, okay, I'll take a different color. We know that these are the submarine cables, different way, like you don't have a cable like that. That's where like the cable infrastructure, that's where like sometimes you have a lot of transit, one cable to another cable, because that's where like in that diagram, if you look at it, you don't have one cable like connecting each and every country or every organization or every ISP. So there are different ones, like they have multiple connectivity. So one cable to another, it's like a whatever this transport system, right? So bus transport system, like you have to go to Candy bus stand, and from there you take a Jaffna bus, right? So then you have to transit. So likewise, the cables also data has to do that, but we just throw it like that, right? So now SLT is connected through CME-V5 cable. So this is CME-V5 cable, they are getting it, right? Okay, and then so you said you need a computer, you have the connectivity, right? I am saying ADSL. SLT is charging, let's say 3,000 rupees. This is the real figures, right? For the connectivity, right? You have to pay 3,000 per month. I'm going to discuss this with business, right? This is not like any technical IT, but IT involved. Okay. So with this, you can get download this file. Am I correct? If it is no, you can say and argue with me. That's what I said, right? So what I'm saying is now this, let's say, the name here as well, Ruan from Candy can now download YouTube one video, video one from YouTube and watch it. Again, he has to pay 3,000 per month. That's his bill, right? Is that correct? Have I missed anything?
Yes, sir. For that we consume data.
Yes, we consume data. That's okay. SLT, ADSL, let's say they are giving us, let's say 100 GB free in the sense that for 3,000, right? So thereafter you have to pay extra as well, right? So I would say here 100 GB is your cap. Like that's why that has to be like, because you are paying something. So this is a cap, like because This is what I said. Yeah, whenever you do the same video 1,000 times, right? You want to watch that within that month. Basically, you might have consumed your like 100 GB, and then you say, I only watch one video, and SLT has say that I have consumed everything, right? So can it be? It's just you can, because you are downloading every time, right? Whatever MPEG file, let's say this is like 300 MB file, right? So that is like when you get that into 100 times, like you can see that it is getting about 30 GB itself, right? So if you do like similar one 3 times, then that will be, or similar 3 things, that you will be finishing your quota. Yeah, I think with that, basically, I can say this is what, right? I think I have not missed anything. So that Candy Ruwan has to have a computer, and then once he get connectivity, let's say ADSL from SLT, paying 3,000 per month, he can watch this video and few other things like up to 100 GB. And then if you want to go beyond that, he has to pay extra. The scenario is all right. Okay. So there are no hidden tricks or whatever. So because that's the story. This is the scenario. Still the question is yet to come, right? So now I'm going to put the question. The question is basically, you pay 3,000, right? This is now, I say Ruwan. Ruwan paid 3,000, right? For May, right? Month of May. Now I want the list of people who got this money, right? So list of people who got money. So Ruwan, okay, now I will say like Ruwan's story, like what Ruwan did. Ruwan watched this video. So I will say within that month what he did, he watched that video. Okay, now you see like management faculties number 2. He went to your LMS, right, to download notes, right? Number 2. And he went to number 3, Indian site to watch some news, like let's say NDTV, right? NDTV, whatever, right? That's what Ruwan does, right? Ruwan does these 3 things only. Like you might say like he's not going to consume 1,000 GB. That's all right, right? Don't worry too much, right? It's just a scenario. So Ruwan did these 3 things for month of May, right? And then he paid 3,000 to his ISP, right? Paid 3,000 to SLT, right? But now I want to know who are the people who got this money 3,000. SLT definitely, because you paid SLT. Is there any other one? Yes? Only SLT got.
So what about the government?
Very good. Our government is very good. Like our government get with taxes, right? That they take some money, right, from you, from the 3,000. That includes something to government. Anything else?
The investors in CMEV5.
Yes, cable operators.
Application owner.
Who? YouTube? Okay, okay, keep that question. I'll come to that. So cable operators, who pays this? Customer? Ruwan?
SLT.
SLT, right. We try to, okay. Erase this line game, okay. SLT, yes, SLT, right. Then 4th one, okay, I'll write the 4th one here. Yeah, someone said this service provider, this content providers, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know whether we are really paying for YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. That's what. Do you pay YouTube? Do you pay to the UGL? Sorry, the LMS thing at management or NDTV?
No.
No. Anyone else is going to get that money? Fourth guy who is going to get this 3,000, a portion of that? No one. So like maybe based on your answers, I will say no one. Right? So nothing. Right? That's all. And according to my knowledge is also that. Right? So all these three. Okay. So the service provider, ISP, because now I will try to say like why. Right? SLT has to get money because they have to have infrastructure from Colombo to Kandy, right, or Colombo to anywhere, right, to provide that infrastructure and provide you give you the router, and then everything has to be given to you, right? And later on something called IP address. I will come. That's at my next slide, which I'm going to discuss with you now. But that also has some cost. So everything has to be provided by SLT. That's what SLT charge from 3,000, a bigger portion. The government, of course, earlier it was taken a little bit more, but now it has been reduced, but some taxes were taken. That is for the government's sake. And then the cable operators are being paid because whenever you download, you have to pay for that cable usage that SLT has to pay. That is why you have to give some quota like 100 GB or whatever. That's why, like, can you give unlimited? Because then how can you measure that, right? And who is going to pay that? Because none of the cable operators won't give you unlimited as such, right? So that's where like you can't just, that's we call fair use policy, right? So at least fair use policy, there has to be something, right? So that's where like it's not very bad. Like it's not, I'm not trying to protect service provider. I'm not saying like service provider not should charge very huge money, but of course now I think they are like taking again SLT, like the Dialog is also giving certain packages for learning like 30 GB for 200 rupees, right? So it's very cheap. It's very good. Like they have to, you should ask like, give us like 1 rupee. Can you do that? Because it's just not practical, right? Because it has to be business. And so this is quite reasonable, but it says 2,000 or 20,000 rupees. Yes, this is unreasonable, right? Which is not there. So there has to be some limit, right? So that's where like, if not, like, how can you do that? How can you give a connectivity? So that's one learning point from this scenario. Now, I would like to take from you all the answer. Now, I said internet. I said not equals actually web. With respect to this, with this 3,000 rupees where Ruwan paid, what can you say about that? This 3,000 rupees Ruwan paid, where it went, for what purpose?
For applications.
Which application?
All the applications that he's using, I mean web, email.
No.
So I have one question.
Yes.
So recently there was some unlimited package has been announced.
Yeah, we will talk about, I will come there. Yeah, that's what I use the fair use policy as well. Right? With that, yes, you can. First, we'll try to answer this and then we'll come back. Okay. You can ask that question again. Yeah, just I want you all to look into this very carefully. Internet and World Wide Web or web, right? So with this 3,000 rupee that we paid, right? What I'm saying here is it went, oops, it went here. And this is sort of, because YouTube, right, didn't charge. NDTV, that's a news, and LMS, right, management faculty, right, nothing was charged, right? So basically web content is free. Of course, there is a different business policy, like the marketing guys and the finance guys knows that there is a different business model to earn money within them, right? But what I'm saying is from Rohan's 3,000 rupees, nothing will be going to web. But they are using internet because of the web. If the web is dead and gone, there's no way, nothing need to be paid to internet because you don't need anything, right? Because you have to use that. So you can see this is the reality. You have to pay for the infrastructure, not the application. Okay. But okay, now if you are buying products like e-commerce on the web, that is because you have to pay for the products, right? That is the separate thing that you have to pay. Okay, there are certain things like say, now someone can say like, how about Netflix, right? You have to pay and get it. That's true. That pay doesn't include this 3,000 rupees. That you have to pay separately for Netflix. Okay, since you are like that, I can say that, okay, if you want, this web is a pornographic site, you have to pay and go there, right? That is different story. That's your business. You have to pay that separately. But I'm talking about this 3,000 rupees. That will not go to web, right? So there are certain services you have to pay and get through the web that you pay that directly. But I'm talking about with respect to 3,000 rupees here, just only internet. So on that context, what I'm saying is web is free, right? So don't go to wrong conclusions and saying that, how can you say that then there are so many web content that you have to pay and get it. That's true. But in a standard, right, normal web. Is that clear? Yeah, you can ask questions on that. Have I confused everyone? Because everyone keep quiet? Or you're okay? So this is a good thing to think about, right? About internet and web, right? In a different way, in the reality, like with monetary value. And that's where like, what I'm saying is like, it's not like where you go, but only thing is what you finally pay is not for web, but web content. When you're getting it on the line, on the channel, right? You have to pay for that because it has to come. That's where I like the bandwidth. That's where like now I can take the other question. So when you give unlimited, right, what will happen here is, so then you keep on doing that, right? So then the service provider has to pay for the cable operators, right? Because it's not, like, let's say even SLT is one of the investors, but there's a cost involved, right? To carry that data, right? Request goes up and the download comes back. So then let's say with this 3,000, SLT has to pay 5,000 to the cable operator. So what's the point of doing business? That's what like my simple question. So what we can do is we can say fair use policy. Yes, it's unlimited, but unlimited in the sense like you can't take everything on YouTube and download into your computer. But we will say, okay, as fair use policy, like a normal human will download per month this number of whatever gigabytes, right? So we will provide you that, right? So what we can do is we can call it as unlimited, but there is a limit, right? When of course I can't give you for 3,000, I will make it cost effective 4,800. So that's where like what happens is unlimited package comes with 4,800. We have costed and we say that a general normal Sri Lankan will download maximum in the sense this number, right? With that I can do a costing and then I can label it as unlimited and do it, but still keeping fair use policy, because if not, if you just get the whole YouTube server itself is enough to kill that company. So did you understand that point? I would like to get your feedback.
Yes.
Yeah.
So before 2010, like they had this unlimited package, right? SLT.
Yeah. Unlimited means that's the like only thing is okay. On that, okay, this is where like SLT guys has to maybe you have to mute because you have if you have two devices, you have to mute both, and also you have to put the speaker of one also closed, right? Only one speaker has to be used, because that's where like I think echoing is happening when you have two devices. Okay, coming back to your question. So that's where, like, at that time, I think SLT was given 64 kilobits per second. We are talking about today, right? 8 Mbps, right? 100 Mbps links, right? But then you are giving like 64 kbps. Actually, in the fair use policy, what they do is like they will provide you 100 Mbps, right, up to a certain level, and then they can put you to a 2 Mbps link, and thereafter they can put it to a lower, so that when you reduce the bandwidth, of course, you can't download that many. So that's where like today the issue comes when the links are getting faster and faster. You just download without considering, but the same content will be coming much sooner. So within the month time period, you will be downloading a lot. Like now we are talking about this 4G mobile devices, right? But 5G, when it comes, like you might say like, okay, my phone is now 5G and I'm happy, right? But only thing is you have to pay more now for your data because you are downloading a lot than 4G, right? But you might be, those days you are watching only one YouTube video per day, but now because of the speed, you are doing 3, but then the content is big, right? So definitely if the 5G bill is more than the 4G, that is usual. So, but if you go with 2.5G, like which is a very elementary speed, like we had in the mobile data, then you will say, okay, now I'm spending only about few rupees, like because that's where like the data you are getting is very, very limited. So this is the issue, right? A speed versus the content capacity or the total data that you are going to download is going to be more. Is that clear? So sometimes people say like, let's increase our bandwidth, right? Okay, this is your now management decision making process, right? So people say, okay, our internet is pretty slow, right? Okay, let's increase the bandwidth. Everyone is complaining. So the higher management thought, okay, we had, let's say, try to clear here. I hope this is okay. You had 10 Mbps, and now you are increased 25 Mbps paying. Like, so now you are paying, let's say this is just 10,000. I'm just taking 25,000, right? So now you are paying like 2.5 times, right? Than you are paying per month last time. But now still people are saying still it's slow. You can say now as we have now increased 2.5%. Why? How can you say? Because now a lot of people are downloading more than what they want, right? And then still it's slow. So this way, like whatever you increase, this is what happens, right? So there's a trade-off, right? As well, like you have to have company policies. This is what we are doing, right? So if we just open it up, there are enough. That's what we say, killer application as well. It can kill you because basically there are enough data, like enough content that is available on the web to download and make it like your data consumption is higher. So you have to be careful on that. Okay, let's go back. Right, so I'm coming back to my slides. So now here, what I want to tell here is this is the internet. If this is the internet, that huge internet, if this is, let's say, again, YouTube, I put UT here, YouTube, and this is you at home, right? To reach a place and come back, you have to have a unique ID. Unique ID has to be there with the service provider, whatever the content provider, as well as the end user, both. Right? It's like this now. Let's say all of us are now at home, right? So each of you all can be uniquely identified with your home address, right? Number this road, right? This street, whatever, and this town, and then this city, whatever, right? So likewise, you all have unique. So if I want to come to one of your place that I have a unique ID that where I am residing, and then I know how to come to your place because you have unique, right? So similarly, you have to have a unique numbers, right? And these unique numbers are called IP addresses. So internet protocol address called IP address is basically a unique number assigned to each device connected, right, or to a computer network that uses the internet protocol, right, for communication. So that it has to be, because this is not a person, this is also a computer, this is also a server, it is also a computer, so both are computers. This is a network, right? But here, to be connecting these two together, you have to have an IP, let's say A, and this is an IP B, and these are unique, has to be unique, right? So these IPs has to be unique, then only we can have this. So this is a fundamental thing. So how many people can connect this big internet, right? It depends on how many unique IP addresses we can create. So that is what ultimately it comes, right? So if it has, let's say, just as an example, 1,000 unique IPs we can generate. So that means only 1,000 people can be connected, right? Interconnected. Right? So with that unique numbers, it dictates the size of that. Okay, now we have to discuss another scenario, like, so I will take another whiteboard. So this is like not in your note, like I will explain that, the requirement, and then what we need. Okay, I have to get the white. Then I will come to this slide. Now I said you have to have a IP address, and it has to be unique. Okay, so this is a little bit of your grade 10 maths is required now here. So by the way, these are number, IP address means it's a number, right? But number in the sense it's binary number, because it's computers, right? What you have is this number. Don't read it as 10,000 whatever number, right? It's just 1010, it goes on like that. So this number, now when this main professors like who were designing IP, TCP IP model, can you remember there was a model, to be precise, like in 1982, they were designing this network, TCP IP model. Under that, they had this IP address. They assigned in 1982, right, 32 bits, right? So that means, okay, if we keep on counting, there will be 1, 2, 3, it goes on. This is the 32 bit, second bit, right? There are 32 bits are there. So now grade, I would say 10 maths. If you have 32 bits, how many unique numbers you can generate? Yes, how many unique numbers you can have?
2 to the power 32?
Yes, 2 to the power 30. Very good, because this is binary. By the way, don't get 10 to the power. 2 to the power 32. Okay, so 2 to the power 32, because this is binary. Binary, that's the base, and then 32 numbers are there. So 2 to the power 32, this comes 4.09 billion. Okay, 4.09 billion. So what it tells is, with IP addresses, 32-bit numbers, we can have on this only this number of users, maximum users. So if I ask what is the maximum number of users that you can have on the internet, it is 4 billion. Let's say 4 billion, roughly 4 billion, right? By the way, when I show one of the picture, like data sheets, like over there, like I said, 5 billion, 5 point something billion were there, right? That is because what we are saying is there are 5 points, whatever billion users are there, but at a given time, only 4 billion can be there, exist on this internet because they have unique numbers. The thing is now, you use this number today, tomorrow I'll be using them. I both are internet users, but not at the same time, you and me, right? Let's say myself and Ruan, again, I will say that Ruan, right? So that this is the IP that I am using today, but today Ruan is not connecting. Tomorrow Ruan will be using that. So then there are 2 users for 1 IP. So that's like, you can have many users per IP. That's where like how the 5 billion number comes. If not, you will have a logical issue. How can you say that in that data sheet? You said 5 billion users we have out of 7 billion population. But however, what I'm saying here is at a given time, only 4 billion users can be on the internet. This is in a way being called digital divide. Because now people who can have access, who can pay, because of course these IP addresses are not free. IP addresses you have to pay, right? That's where like even that our money that we didn't talk about at that time because we didn't know about this. SLT, like when you are giving the connectivity, they have to give you an IP address as well. Then only you, now you, all of you all, yeah, 90 people who are now connected can, is having 90 IPs, including my 9, okay, I think including me is 90 now. So all of us have 90 IPs. That's why like we are there, right? So some of the IPs like who were connected earlier, now it's no longer there, but then their IPs will be used by someone else. That's why like we do, there are different policies that we use by the ISPs to do that. So each of us have to have unique IP to be connected, right? That's what. So this gives a limit, right? Not the whole population, 7 billion cannot be on the same time. Let's say US president is going to give a special speech. Everyone has to be connected to the internet to listen to that. You can't do that, right? If he says that, I think he doesn't know about internet, and even though it started from there, because there are 7 billion population, right? Of course, some of you all can say, but they don't have access to connectivity. They don't have access to computer. That is also there. But however, let's assume that even all are satisfied, but still you can't. So this is a problem that we are facing now, right? Because when they were designing the TCP/IP model in 82, they never thought that, I don't know, they never thought first the population will go so big, more than 4 billion, right? Or like they never thought internet is not going to be popular, right? That many, right? There won't be 4 billion people connecting, because if they had said, okay, let's have 40 bits here, right? So then 2 to the power 40, I don't know the number. You go home and try that. Not go home, like when my lecture is over, you can try that. So then you can say it's maybe enough, right? But the decision was taken 82, 32 bits. But now that is why with 4 billion that we are facing. So there is an issue, right? That currently we are facing. There is a IP address issue, right? We call the current version of the IP is IP version current is called version 4. Because of that, we call IPv4. When we write, mostly we put V simple, right? Some people write IPv4 like this also. This is also correct. Like in the exam point of view, if you write whatever, that is okay. But generally we write like IPv4. So IPv4, because of the 32 bits, I will write it down here, right? This is the 1982 issue actually. Now we have 4 billion limit, right? So now the thing is, today we talk about IoT. Sorry, what is that? IoT, right? Internet of Technology, Internet of Things, not technology. Internet of Things, right? Internet of Things like means like you can try to give IP addresses to other things as well. So even later on when you come to the lecture hall, probably even your table, chair, you name it, everything has, right? So IoT is like, then you have to have so many IP addresses. A requirement for IP addresses, IP address requirement is very high, right? Not only the population of 7 billion. So population is 7 billion. We have to give all these things equal access. But also there's IoT and other things. We are looking at so much of requirement. But now there is a limit, 4 billion. So this is a problem. So this problem, and because of that problem is what we call digital divide, because people who have money can buy these and then they are connected, while the others are not, right? But we should not do that. So a solution came. A new IP version was introduced and released, that is called IPv6. Now don't try to find what happened to number 5. There is no IPv5, right? So IPv4 we had, now IPv6, right? So IPv5, if you ask what happened, it was like an experimental thing only, like and also like with respect to software also, sometimes we use even numbers to release, odd numbers for experiments like that. So there are different things. But however, there is no IPv5, right? So don't try to find anywhere the lecturer has missed that part. Really not. There is no IPv5. So IPv6, the solution given how? They have given 128 bits. So that means 2 to the power 128. It's a huge number, I would say, right? It's a huge number. It's more than the Avogadro number. So if you can remember again your grade 10 science, right? The Avogadro number is 6 point something, 10 to the power 38 or whatever, right? So that's more than that, right? So then don't worry about how many humans, like whatever you want, you can have. So now remember, IPv4 and IPv6 are 2 different versions, right? So IPv6 was introduced, I think, somewhere in late 90s, right? Some people call 93, even I have seen documents, but late 95, 97, like that. 98 or some people say like after 98. So now IPv6 is introduced, right? So there is a problem, right? Now, if I go back here to my slides, yeah, IPv4 and IPv6. IPv4 is 32 bits, and then IPv6 is 128 bits, 3.4, 10 to the power 38, right? It's a huge number. So then what is IPv6? Why it is required? Because why it is required? IPv4 is not enough. There is a limit of 4 billion, right? And then the requirements are so high because of the people, but also because of the applications, IoT and other things are coming up. So then we have to have IPv6. Okay. Now, the bad thing here is there's a compatibility issue. The major flaw of IPv6 is that it is not compatible. It's very important, not compatible with IPv4. So now we have IPv4, but this is not compatible, right, with IPv6. So that means now, shall we take another white screen? If this network is IPv4, let's say your Kandy office, this is your head office in Colombo, made IPv6. Now you can't interconnect them because this is incompatible. Now this is like okay, we talked about TCP/IP, right? Both are TCP/IP, but TCP/IP actually now this is not really both same TCP/IP because the version is different. So that means 2 different languages, 2 different protocols. Okay, so this is the issue. So you can't interconnect. So then we can't make, this is V4 again because V4 is losing. So then we have to convert, this is also into V6, right? So now think of the whole world. The world, like this side is V4 and this side is V6. How can I do that? Like we have to make them to convert to V6. Now you might ask, if this is a network, now it is V4. What should I do to make it V6? Because you have all your network equipment, right? Your switches, routers, everything has to be changed, because those old ones are only supporting V4. It will not support V6 because this is a new protocol and this is not compatible. Incompatibility. Because of that, you have to buy new router now, right? And then buy new printer, buy new scanner, whatever you name it, all network device, projector, right? So that's a huge expense for them to be converted back to V6. Right? It's not easy. You can tell, you can give orders and say, move that, right? Even now in this particular example, for Candid to move, like you need 6 billion rupees, let's say. So do we have enough money to invest, right? I'm not just, not a real number, just for you to think I gave you that number. So are we ready to do that? So these are the things now in the future you might be having to face with respect to this V4, V6 issue, right? So you have to be very careful on that. And you should have a good idea, because without that you will not understand what we are right to spend here. Is this anything? Because no capacity increase, whatever, we are just going to change this, right, protocol to make it compatible. But then the investments are huge because all equipment has to be changed, right? So this already started. All Sri Lankan ISPs are ready with V6, right? So that means you can convert anytime today V6. But only thing is you can't just be part, right? So that's one thing to remember. And another scenario, let's say, I try to take another 5 minutes and finish it off, right? Let's say a small.
One question, sir.
Sorry.
One question. That means V4 is discontinued?
No, V4 cannot discontinue straight away. It has to be discontinued another some years time. We don't know when, because no one can. Because there's no, there's no flag day, because we can't say from 2022 onwards everyone is V6, because any government can't like hold that, right? So there's an issue. So this is another problem we are going to face with IT now in hand, right, in the future, right? So moving from V4 to V6. But I will take a small scenario with that and then and try to finish this lecture. Let's say you are trying to buy a new printer. Okay. Someone's mic is on. Can you? So you are trying to buy a new printer, and now you are looking at this, right? This is a network printer, right? I will say printer network. Right, let's say this is 2021, you are going to buy. We know in the future we had to move that. But this network printer, if it is supports only V4, right, you should never buy that now. Today, devices comes with V4, V6, both supporting, right? So if you invest today a V6, at least your investment will be worthwhile in the future, because when you are changing to that. So like, let's say I'm trying to sell you now another way. I'm coming and sending a new printer. Now, earlier I was trying to sell you a printer at the projector at that time I was telling. So at that time you said that you will be asking whether it's a proprietary or whether it's TCP/IP protocol, right? That question itself is not enough now. You have to ask, is this supporting IPv6, right? Because I'm giving 80% discount, because they are going to be useless in the future. Buying today is a bad investment, I would say, right? So you should ask, is it TCP/IP? Yes, it's common language. Then you should ask, is it supporting IPv6? Okay, then I will buy, right? So that's what, like, decisions like today, still people are not thinking about these things, right? So in the future, if you want to change into V6, these things, if not, you have to buy new printer that time, right? 2023 or 2025, right? So that's what no one knows that time period, but that is the case. Yeah, if there's any questions I can take. If not, I will wind off for today, but I will continue from there onwards next week, because that's what I said. this lecture is a bit longer, but I will take about 2 days to complete, but that's all right. I want to discuss the important concepts there. And I hope I have cleared you, but if you still have any questions, you can ask now, or like maybe you can go through my note and then maybe ask next time. Okay, I will finish the lecture now.
Sir, one question.
Sure, ask.
Is there any country or any place that currently using V6 or everyone is using V4 at the moment?
Okay, since you're asking that question, give me 1 minute because I am in a dark area now because I have to put my light here. Just 1 minute and then I will answer, but others keep connected, don't wait. I am going to explain that. Now only I saw that I'm in a dark area. Right. To your question, I will answer like this. Very good question to end the lecture as well. Right. I will share my web browser. Give me 1 minute. IPv6. Okay, right. Share this one. I hope you can see my web browser now.
Yes.
Okay. So just what I typed here also, if I go back, I just typed IPv6 statistics Google. That's all I typed, right? So you also can do the same thing. You can go to this graph, right? IPv6 statistics Google, because this is Google is, so I'll just go inside that. So this is this page. So this is what Google is collecting information from 2009 onwards, or 9 late onwards, right? So this is today. Today it's about like 35% of the people. This is where like Google requests they are getting. Okay, right? May 6, right? This is like the latest statistics they have. About 35% of all the requests comes to Google are IPv6. Okay.
Okay.
So this is what like your answer to your question, and then you can per country IPv6 adaptation. This is like adoption, like you can see here, right? So they are saying these people have some regions are using IPv6, right? Even if you go to Sri Lanka here, I think it can be enlarged. Sri Lanka here. There is some, okay, sorry. There is some 37% is there. That is where like I think some of the ISPs are using to send their traffic out to internet. I think IPv6. That's what like I think less users in Sri Lanka use still IPv6. I also, because if you come to UCSC, like if you say, only thing is now let's say I am IPv6. I can't access IPv4 server now, right? That's where like let's say all of you all are going to be IPv6 now, right? We have converted now. Your ISPs have converted to V6. You can't connect to the LMS because LMS is V4. You can. This is an incompatibility. So this is a big issue, right? Don't think this IPv4 V6 is a very interesting and you have to buy a hardware and make yourself. No, because now let's say you are running a big business, all internet based, right? Now you know here 35% market share is V6, but you can't reach them if your server is V4, right? So if you now move to V6, then you are losing V4 users, and that's where like, so there is, so then there is the solution at the moment is you have to run 2 servers now. That means for V4 and V6, because that's where like even now today Google is running 2, right? Now I am here accessing V4 server. The Gmail, like if you convert now to V6 just now, right? You can read your Gmail because Gmail is running on V6 as well. YouTube you can watch. They are running V6, but not University of Colombo website. University of Colombo website is actually running V6, right? But not your management faculty LMS or not the Daily News newspaper, not the some other. Like I said, so many things will not be running. So this is the issue with respect to business now. You all are talking about the internet penetration and then trying to connect people to do business. But with this V4, V6 issue will be there.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, yeah. So you can still think about this further, read, and then maybe you can bring more questions next time when we meet next week. Okay then, good night. If you don't have any more questions, we'll see you next week.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.